No,
No, I can't see me either.
No, I don't see you.
you don't.
What? Ruby's here. Okay. Well, why can't? How do I?
On the
Start
bottom.
video. I see. I was blocked. Okay, Molly! Yay!
There you are.
You can see me now. Okay. We're doing it. I had. Well, most of you were there already. I have oil dumped on my head today, so Avianga, so my head is all oily and I'm a little like have massage brain fuzz. But we're gonna do a great Panchakarma workshop tonight. It's one of my favorite subjects, so this will be a lot of fun. Well, why don't we start with a prayer? The student teacher blessing. Feel free to chant along with me. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvashavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so has anyone had a chance to read over my PowerPoint or any of the handouts? Just raise your hand or say yes or no so I can.
Yes, I read it.
Did you read it, Indu? Oh, good. Anyone that's, I'm looking through, everyone is muted. Okay, that's all right. All right, well, I'm going to share my screen and click the button. See, share screen. Okay, and open up the PowerPoint and the whole folder, actually. There it is. Okay, so let me start off with Panchakarma before we open all of this. Really needs to be done with a doctor. So the true Panchakarma. So I don't want you to think, oh, I had 2.5 hours of Panchakarma with Karyn. Now I'm going to go do Panchakarma to my clients. You really need to have a doctor's blessing and have a doctor kind of accompany you with the Panchakarma if you're past, say, the 3rd or 4th stage of disease. So you could do, if you've had training, you have a license in massage, or you have some knowledge under your belt, not 1 year, but at least 2 or 3 and some experience, then you could probably do Panchakarma in a very mild way for, say, insomnia, weight loss, depression. I hear some cute little kid. Is that Molly's little children? I can't see now. Now that I opened my screen, I can't see who's here.
I muted it, Karyn.
You did? Oh, thanks. Okay. So I just want to make sure that this is Dr. Ladd's actually asking me, and I asked him if it was okay if I did Panchakarma to my clients since I've been doing massage for 15 years and I had some Ayurveda under my belt and was in the program for my master's. He okayed it, but just said the minor things, like weight loss and anything that would be near the last stages of the disease process, maybe the 5th or 6th stages of some property, he said, send them over to a doctor. So that's how I want to preface Panchakarma. You can do a little Panchakarma for yourself. And John Douliard offers the Colorado Cleanse. You could do a little, like a 3-day, 1-week Panchakarma with Dr. John Douliard if you wanted to sign up. He's amazing, and I've heard good things about the Colorado Cleanse. Now, if you want to do your own little Panchakarma, I'll give you an example of what I just recently did when I went to Costa Rica. I was by myself, so I had Heidi in the later part of Costa Rica, which was great. But I was by myself at the beach. So when I go to the beach, I kind of feel like it's time to purify because the salt water is so purifying. And I just feel at peace naturally by the beach. So it's a great place for me to do Panchakarma if you're an ocean person. So what I did for 3 days, and you could do something like this here, you don't need to be by the ocean, but I'll just give you what I did. I took a teaspoon or a tablespoon, I forget what it was, of ghee, a heaping, and warm water in the morning. And I took Triphala, like a day or two before, and Triphala is an herb that stimulates Apanavayu, which is the downflow, and it activates Varechana. Varechana is Sanskrit for intestinal cleansing. So I took the Triphala in powder form. I took about 2 tablespoons of Triphala, and I did that at night, and I put it in tea. And you can drink a tea of Triphala if you want, or capsules of it, or tablets. But if you take a capsule, you won't taste it, and you really need to taste the Triphala for it to have full effect. So you might get 80% effect on a capsule with Triphala. Triphala is spelled Triphala, and I'm sure some of the other doctors have mentioned Triphala. It's one of the main herbs of Ayurveda, and it balances Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and it does blood, brain, bowel cleansing. And it has 3 fruits, Amalaki, Bibitaki, and Haritaki, which each of them are assigned to a dosha. So it's a fabulous Varechana herb. So it was helping me go to the bathroom and purge, and then I drank coconut water, fresh coconut, which is so yummy, and that was my ojas, and I did that every morning, and I went to the beach and did Garshana with dry sand. People thought I was a little weird, but I don't care what they think. So I was rubbing all the dry sand all over my skin to get the friction and the exfoliation, and I then put oil on my skin, and then I did after the oil, which would be the Abhyanga portion, and I'm just giving you an overview of what I did, and then we're going to go into the heart of what is Panchakarma. I will give you the definition, and we'll start from square one, but just an overview of how you can take this home and make it practical, so it doesn't feel like it's so out there that you have to go to India and you have to pay $3,000, because that's a lot of places do charge that. You can make this very practical for you. So this is what I did. I just did the ghee in the morning, and that's very important for fat-soluble toxins. You need the ghee. Otherwise, water-soluble toxins will go away with regular cleanses, but if you don't do the ghee, then you don't get to clear out the fat-soluble toxins, because ghee, is a fat, and light dissolves light. That's the foundation of Panchakarma. It is both fat dissolving as well as toxins that live in the adipose tissue. Not the adipose, the water tissues in the body. So then I did oil. I did a little Abhyanga, soft massage, and I had a bikini on, so I'm sort of hiding out in the corner. No, people were still looking, but I was trying to be as discreet as I could. And then I put it in my hair and on my head and in my ears. So as much as I could, just slathered the oil all over me. And then I went in the water, and the water was so warm, and I felt like the salt water and the oil did something magical. I don't know what that was, but it was great. And then I came out of the water and put in an Udvartana. So the Udvartana is a modality where you use a paste. So I went into the sand of the beach that was more like mud that was wet instead of the dry sand, which is Garshana. And so I put this mud all over me, and I rubbed it in. So I looked, I looked like a freak. So I had, mud all over my body, and then I let it bake on me so it could dry and do the drawing effects of the toxins in the skin. And then I went in the ocean. And then I ate a monofast of khichdi all day. So whenever I was hungry, I had a pot of basmati rice and mung dal, I had sprouted mung beans, just little teeny sprout, not much. They say, it's questionable whether you should sprout them or not, but I did sprout them because it was so hot there, I couldn't help it. It was just, they sprout easily in the heat. And and I have the recipe for khichdi. I don't know if you were given the recipe yet, but I have it for you in the handouts. I think, actually, yeah, you received it. And then what else did I do? Oh, I did a basti, so colonic at the end, my own little, the fleet enemas you can buy at Walgreens, saline. I put a little bit of oil, like maybe a teaspoon of sesame oil or whatever I had. It might have been olive oil that was in that cottage. And so I was able, at the end of a Panchakarma, all your toxins go to the GI tract and they try to leave. And sometimes if you're prone to constipation, they stay stuck and then they reabsorb into the bloodstream. So it's important while you're doing a little mini cleanse that you keep the colon clean. So I, every night for those 3 nights, did a little mini saline with a little oil enema. And the triphala also helped too, but you have to kind of play with that because it depends. Are you someone that is prone to diarrhea or constipation? So, a little more for people who are prone to constipation, a little less if you're prone to diarrhea. So I'm more prone to constipation, so I upped the Virechana piece, which would be the triphala, and and some people just do the basti on the 3rd day, but I did it at the end of every day on an empty stomach. That's very important. And if you want directions on enema, I have them written down that I give clients. It's very important to always do your enema on an empty stomach or you interrupt digestion. The digestive flow would be interrupted because you're going up with the water and your digestion should be going in circles, samanavayu, and then down, so that the upward flow can, if you have a full belly, prevent you from having successful digestion. And especially if you're having your period, you really shouldn't do Panchakarma at all. So let's go over the basics of it. Let me open up where to start. I'll just review what I used to give clients when I was doing Panchakarma so you can get an idea if you're a massage therapist and want to do this. This is something you can use if you want to. Let me move some things around, move that aside. Okay. So before I start reading this little handout that I used to give my clients, does anyone have a question about my little mini Panchakarma? The one that I did on the beach?
I'm just, this is Indu. I have a question. Now, when you say you take ghee and then you say you take that triphala, so how do you start? Now, I'm not at a beach, but if I wanted to do a cleansing, how would I do it?
Well, you could start with the ghee, 1 teaspoon, and build it up if you want.
For a long time.
What?
I do, but
I missed. Somebody said something. Didn't hear it.
So how do you take the ghee? Do you dilute it in something, or you just?
No, just scoop it right out and eat it and swallow it down with some warm water. Or you could. What I did one time is I made a chai and I put the heaping teaspoon in the chai, and I have this little blender that's like a frother, a milk frother, and I frothed the ghee. The ghee really foamed up and it was oily, so it was like this oily chai, and it actually tasted good.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
But then when do you take this triphala?
Well, it depends on everybody. For me, I take it in the night. So it's probably better for you to take it at night, and as soon as you wake up, you'll go. But for some people, they go right away with triphala, and that way you don't want to be up in the middle of the night going. So you might explore that. Try a trial and error. Try it and see what happens, how fast your body responds to it, because you don't want to be losing sleep while you're running to the bathroom. So, see how that feels.
Then why do you take a fleet's enema?
You need to at the end. You can't believe how much stuff is in you. Just because I go to the bathroom with triphala doesn't mean that it's all out. The fleet enema also has another purpose. It actually feeds the friendly bacteria in the colon because you put oil in it. So the oil enema is actually food for the friendly bacteria. And
so because when we get this fleet's enema, I used to give it to the patients in the hospital, but that's a sealed cap. How do you put oil in it?
Oh, you just dump a little bit of that saline water out, so you have like this much room left for some oil, and the oil goes in.
And what oil do you put?
Well, I was just not prepared because it wasn't my home. I was renting, and they had olive oil there, which worked for me. But sesame or sunflower could work as well.
So you can put 1 teaspoon of sesame oil.
Yes. Yeah, and depends. If you want to build up to the next day, you could put 2 teaspoons in. See how you feel?
So how many days are you supposed to do this for?
There's no rule. It's 1 day if you want, or 3 days if you can, 1 month if you have the time and money.
Oh no, that's too, I don't have that kind of time.
Well, so maybe someday. My hope, I have on my bucket list, I want to go to India and do 30 days, and it will change my life. I have a friend who did it, and her skin turned green, and she had so much stuff come out of her. She looked incredible when she came back. She was so rejuvenated. She looked 20 years younger. I couldn't believe it.
I have this vitiligo. Would it help vitiligo if I did this thing?
Absolutely. It helps with everything. There's not one thing that Panchakarma cannot help, except Dr. Ladd said the only time he ever ran into an obstacle in Panchakarma is with somebody who consistently ate raw honey, cooked raw honey. They would put the raw honey in the teapot, cook it, and drink it every day, and then he couldn't get that out of their system. That everything else he could get out. So every disease, it can be. Disease is really a disturbance of Vata Pitta Kapha. So you can move Vata Pitta Kapha with Panchakarma. It is designed for that. So yeah, maybe not heal you entirely. We can't promise that, but it will do something to make improvement. That is something I could promise. If you really followed the protocols of the doctors and did all of the modalities and the things that were placed in front of you for your constitution, and you had the right people giving you the Panchakarma, you could make great improvement in any condition.
Because I've always been to an Ayurvedic doctor. Her name was Dr. Arpana, but she never said this. And so I've never done it. And now I have no doctor, so.
But you can find another doctor. Just find another Ayurvedic doctor and see if you can work with them. If you are in, well, text me or email me.
I will.
I'll find someone near you. I think there's the Himalayan Institute in Pennsylvania. Is that close to you?
No, I'm in Albany, New York.
Okay, then you'd probably be better off going to somewhere in New York City. So why don't you do your own research and also email me, and I'll be percolating on anybody I might know in your area.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I used to go to this lady in New York City. She was the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, but now she's moved away. She's not there anymore.
There's lots of great doctors in New York City, Ayurvedic doctors. I'm sure we can find somebody.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question, Karyn.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Amazing.
I was looking, I'm just looking at my notes and listening to your day with Panchakarma. What's the time frame that you did these different things? Just to give us an idea.
3 days. I did 3 days because it's really all I had.
No, I mean with the individual parts of your day where you take the ghee, then you did the coconut water, gashna, on the beach. What's the time frame that this all took?
It wasn't an all-day thing, so you can still be productive and go to work, but you don't want to work too hard. That's just it. Is because when you're detoxing, you want to take some time out. You need to change your lifestyle just a little bit for those 3 days. Maybe get somebody to help you at your salon so that you can, do a little restorative yoga or more napping, resting meditation, or very gentle things that bring you bliss, but not working too hard, because that's just, defeating the whole purpose of Panchakarma. So basically the Udvartana and the Abhyanga, and then I did that, the Garshana dry brush, and then I went for a swim. And when you go under the ocean, by the way, 100%, all the way under, your doshas go home. All your doshas go home. So it's really conducive to doing Panchakarma near the ocean. So that maybe took me an hour, not even. But then I went for a walk, a gentle walk, and that took me an hour. And eating the khichdi, making the khichdi, all of that. And doing the enema took, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The ghee in the morning, 5 minutes. It's really not that hard.
Okay, so that you just took like a stretch of time, and you went through pretty much all of the items that you mentioned doing the dry, using the dry sand, and then you said you slathered the oil on you, and then went in the water, and then you did use Udvachana. So you're saying that a person, like you just took, say, the first part of the morning to do this?
Oh, I did mine around sunset just because I like sunset on the beach. So it doesn't matter when you do it, but it is more auspicious at sunrise and sunset. Everything is actually more auspicious. The whole world is more auspicious during those hours. So anything you do will be a little bit more magical because it's a magical time of day. But during the day, I read books. I wrote some things. I did some, automatic writing. I organized my house. I went outside and looked at the monkeys who were throwing poop at my house. And, just basically did my best to just relax. I played with the shells that I had found the day before. I did some work, but not anything that was overwhelming. So Panchakarma is a time for rest. The animals do this. Animals go into hiding and rest. They do their own little thing away from the herd to heal. So if you're going to try to do all the modalities and stay in the herd, and stay in your salon or whatever you're doing and keep pushing yourself, then you're really not doing it. It's a body, mind, spirit modality. You have to, all of your pieces need to be in celebration with the fact that you've chosen to do a purification and rejuvenation for yourself. It's the ultimate self-love, self-care, and you need to do it all the way through if you can. 3 days isn't so hard to get off. Maybe a week, a month is going to be incredible. If I ever get to do that, I will be just dancing in my seat. But, 3 days, 5 days. I did it 3 days at the Ayurvedic Institute in 1998, and it cost me $2,500, but it was profound, and I had a huge emotional breakdown at the end I didn't expect to have. The emotions come up like no other treatment, no other just regular massage. So you have to deal with those things and prepare for them. And if you're so exhausted from working, then you don't even have time to process your own emotions, right?
So you should be at home, so you're close to a restroom. So yeah.
Yes, good question. Yes. Yeah, you want to make sure that Triphala works well with you because everyone's a little different with how much Triphala they should take. Yeah. So any other questions before we start moving on to the stuff that I wrote?
Hi, Karyn. I just have a really quick question.
Yeah.
After you do I know I got the order, but after the Udvartana, do you go back in the water after that?
I did. I had to because I was
Clean it off, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked like I was like another. I looked like I was a Mexican or something. I didn't look like a girl.
What was in your paste?
It was the sand just at the edge of the ocean. So
Cool.
Yeah, it was like mud. It was dark colored with like little specks of mica. It was. Yeah.
And I might have missed this. Where were you?
I was in Costa Rica.
Oh, this was just recently?
Yeah, but you can do this here. You don't have to go to Costa Rica. You can do it anywhere by the ocean or even not by the ocean. I had it in New Mexico and people doing it everywhere in the world. But I just happened to be some former mermaid in another life, maybe. Maybe all of you are with me. So I just I got to be by the ocean. So that's how I heal. Yeah, so find where you heal. You might be a mountain or a river person. Find where you feel you heal. Go there and do your 3 days. Even do one. Try 1 day, Panchakarma. And you could do some prep before, like the day or two before. You could do the ghee and the triphala. You don't have to do all the modalities like the Udvartana, Panchakarma, Garshana. You can do those in 1 day for yourself or hire someone for 1 day and do your own mini, shorter session that's more affordable. Any other questions?
No, that's good.
Good. Okay. So look at this little thing I gave to my clients. This is when I was in Fairfield, Iowa, studying for my master's in Ayurveda. And if you want to go to a really great place for Panchakarma, I recommend the Raj. It's right here. You can see I've got my monitor I'm looking at, and my laptop is here. So my profile is this way because This is where I'm seeing the screen. Anyways, the Raj, R-A-J, as you see it right here, is a fantastic facility in Fairfield, Iowa. If you want to drive, not drive, it's a long drive, but you get to the airport and it's about an hour drive from the airport, and I have someone you will love who would pick you up. His name is George. He's fantastic. He's 75 and he's totally enlightened. And he will enlighten you all the way to Fairfield, Iowa in his car. And it will prepare you for the Panchakarma there. All of the food is organic and it is grown right on the premises locally to Vedic music. Believe it or not, they have music that this food is grown to, and it's delicious. Everything is homemade, non-GMO, and it's super yummy. And Liz Taylor goes there, so it's very posh, very expensive, but the quality of the service you would get there, probably the best you can get in the United States. So
you said bring your birth time, day, and month. I know my date, I know my year, but I don't know which time I was born. I'm too old.
Oh, well, that's okay. We can still work with you. And that's for the next class, is the Jyotish. That's the birth time we need for the next class that I'm teaching. This, you don't really need your birth information.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. We can still get some information for you, but not as much as if you had your birth time. Okay, so moving on. This is what I would give them, and you can read what Pamela wrote. She was really happy with my Panchakarma, but I will tell you what, I was exhausted from treating Pamela. She had a total meltdown, emotional meltdown, and I was up all night, all 3 nights, talking with her. She was crying, and so I had been, made her khichdi, and then I did her body work all day, and then I was her therapist at night, and that's my boundary issues. I wish I had learned how to protect myself, but I was exhausted on the 3rd day. I thought I was going to need Panchakarma for my own self, because, these people, they don't know. I didn't know, and when I went for Dr. Ladd's, what's going to happen emotionally to you when you go through it, you really need to prepare toward the end of, is there someone I could talk to? Do you have a husband, a best friend, or a boyfriend, or somebody that would be able to hold you through the release of emotional trauma that gets stuffed in our tissues that only Panchakarma really goes deep in to get out. And this woman went through some really deep stuff, and I, really empathized with her. So I duked it out with myself and her, and every night talking with her and easing her through the emotional trauma that was coming out of her tissues from all of the treatments I was giving her. So she had a good, successful treatment, but I think if I was ever going to do this again, which I don't think I ever will on my own, I had a friend, Gauri, who opened up a Ayurvedic clinic in New Jersey called Akasha, and she actually hired a psychologist, especially for people doing Panchakarma, so she didn't get these phone calls. She would just say, you got to call so-and-so to talk to so-and-so, because, she had boundaries, which was with good self-care boundaries. So that's a big heads up. If you're ever going to do Panchakarma for people, know that it doesn't usually end when they say goodbye at the door. It usually goes on and on. Okay, so let's read this. This was done at the change of the season by the royalty in India, because only the royalty could afford it. And the reason it was so expensive back in the day, thousands and thousands of years ago, and it is today as well, but even more expensive, was they were actually crushing precious gemstones and making a bhasma, which is like that ash. They burned it, and then they ingested emeralds and diamonds and rubies, because this is all planetary. So everything began with the 7 planets, or the 9 planets if you count Rahu and Ketu. So the gemstones were specific to a planet, and if they were having a disease, usually it was because of an afflicted planet. They would give you a gemstone that had affinity to that afflicted planet. But how many of us can afford to eat diamonds? Right now, I don't know, not me. But or whatever it is, that's a Venus affliction, diamonds, and the sun would be ruby affliction, like that. So this was kind of watered down as time went on, and they stopped doing I think they may still do it here and there for those people who can afford it in India. But now it's, more convenient in Kerala, India. They've made it very doable and affordable, even though, it's definitely probably $2,000 for a week is what I've been quoted, the lowest amount. But if you add the diamonds and the rubies and the emeralds, it'll be 10,000 or more. So, but it's still doable. I don't think you necessarily need to go to India either. I think it's dirty, and I'm concerned about that. So when I choose to go, I'm doing a lot of research. I already have a couple places that I've had friends go to that have said it was clean, because their version of clean is different than our version of clean. It's a very cultural thing, and that's okay. It is what it is, and you just got to be very selective where you go to do it. But the Raj is impeccably clean. So that I wasn't worried about, but I don't know if I actually want to do it there. I would like the full experience in India. So anyways, moving on, we're looking at what is Panchakarma? What does it actually mean? Pancha means 5, karma means action. So it consists of 5 actions. And I will go over those 5 actions when we get to the PowerPoint. But let's move on. Oh, I see why you said that here. Indu, please bring your birth time of day. Yeah, I'm sorry that confused you. That was for my clients because back then I did Jyotish as well, and I would look at the planets before I decided what course of action to take with them. But you don't need to know that right now. Moving on. So this is what they would receive for 2 or 3 hours a day. I would choose what they needed: Garshana, Shila Abhyanga, which is the hot stone massage, the Nasya, Karnapurna. You all learned that. At least some of you have. Some of you have not, though. Which ones of you don't know about Nasya and Karnapurna? Can you raise your hand or say hello? Or
I don't know anything about
hi. Okay. Okay. So did you just sneeze, Indu?
No, not me, but I want to know how much does this cost if one comes to you to have a massage for 2 to 3 hours. How much does this cost?
We're getting to that. So it's at the bottom. Yeah, it's at the bottom of the sheet. I didn't like to put the price right at the top because it was sort of not a nice thing to put at the top. Because it's really not about the money. If you're a true healer, you do a sliding scale. So, but, also it's my time, and it was expensive and exhausting for me. I use the best oils, most organic oils, and clean sheets and everything. I go over the top to make everything just sparkling, top of the line, and, that takes money and time. So I couldn't do it for free. I had to charge, but I helped some people, that didn't have the money, so I would do a sliding scale with them. So that's why the money's more at the bottom. Okay, we'll get there. So Garshana is the dry brushing. Shila means of the earth. It means stones. And Abhyanga means to rub the skin, the limbs, literally the limbs. And you rub the limbs necessarily more like application of oil as opposed to massage. That's what they do. Here, I add the massage piece because I was trained in massage therapy, so it's an extra special Shila Abhyanga. As if you go to India, they just do the application of oil. They don't get in there and work the fascia and smooth out the knots, and they don't know just how to quite work the muscles. Some do, but I've had so many people come back from India, get my Abhyanga, and say, oh my God, this is so much better. And not that it's mine, but anyone I train in it, some of you would give a better Abhyanga than people in India that weren't trained. They're really technicians that learned application of oil. So make sure you're aware of that. If you're going to go to India, you may just get oil slapped all over you, not a massage. And then the Nasya is the drops of oil in the nose. So you put, could be Brahmi ghee. Brahmi is for the brain, and you could do that for increasing memory and intelligence. But Nasya is application of medicated oil into the nose because the nose is the doorway to the brain, and there is no blood-brain barrier that blocks it. So it's a fantastic way to medicate people who have neurological disorders where medications just don't affect them. There's no, they can't get helped by medications. But with ghee and brahmi or some oil, like I think the one I have is sesame oil with coconut oil and lotus and eucalyptus and basil, holy basil. I forget what else is in there, but the recipes.
So you put oil inside the nostril or just
Yeah,
around it?
yeah. So you tip your head back and you drip the oil, 5 drops in a very specific direction, because 5 of the elements exist around the nose. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you sniff like that. You almost like your ears pop when you inhale, close your nose, and that sends the oil deeply into the brain, and it's one of the best craniosacral therapy treatments you can have, along with Karna, the oil in the ears. Because what it does is it sends oil into all the sutras that connect the bones in the head. And some of us are so dried out from overthinking and over worrying and over computering that our brains are dried out, and we need the oil, just like the Tin Man. We need to oil, and the more oil in the nose and the brain, unless somebody is a serious disease of oiliness, the better, because most people are dried out. 90% of people are just dried out that way. You know, they dried out from the air conditioning, dried out from the heat, so much so that they're actually bleeding. People getting bloody noses because of the dryness in the air, and they're not getting enough fresh air. So Nasya is an amazing therapy, one of my favorite therapies, and I do it to myself every night before I go to sleep because it helps me sleep more deeply. And you can buy that on my website. Just go on to the sacredstonehealing.com and go under products, or you can go to Dr. Ladd's site. You can go to ayurveda.com. Banyan sells one. Theirs is a little bit Chinese food smelling. I don't like that much because it's very, very sesame smelling. I like the good smelling Nasya because it's going right into your nose, so you want to not be craving Chinese food at midnight. So the Karna is another one that is amazing. It is warm oil application. Usually you could use sunflower, sesame, jojoba, any purified oil. It has to be pure because you could get an ear infection if you use oil with bacteria growing in it. You need a pure, clean oil, and you apply it to this Udavartana, Udaharva. There's a spot right here where everyone pierces their ear, or not everyone, but a lot of women pierce their ear right there. And that spot is where you would start the flow of oil, and it would flow all the way into the ear and fill the whole cavity of the ear up as you're laying sideways. And you can massage the ear while it's being retained. And then, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, you can turn your head and it will all glug, glug, glug out your ear. And you do the other side. And this is profound because it is one of the most sedative therapies that you can do. Some people who have nervous anxiety, that better than Paxil, better than Valium, maybe not as effective and fast, but over the long run, it truly goes to the root of the anxiety, and it brings the Vata home, because Vata is the root of anxiety. And the ears are a big site of Vata. There's holes in the ears. Where there's space in the body, ether and air live. Where you put oil in the space and fill the space, then we have Vata going home and happy. Kapha starts to mitigate the Vatagenic effects of having open holes in our heads. So we want to fill the open holes in our heads with warm oils to bring Vata home. And when Vata goes home, everybody's happy. All the doshas get happy, because Vata is one of the main culprits that leaves its home very easily because it's windy. So the goal is to keep Vata home in the large intestines. So when you fill the holes in your head, even your eyes and your mouth, with oil, it sends a signal to the brain, Vata, go home. So it's indirectly working on your large intestines. You don't even, everything is connected. So you inadvertently you're taking Vata to its home, and it's like a headgasm. Your whole head just feels like you're waking up in total bliss. The eyes get oiled. You put castor oil drops in your eyes with a little rose water, the Nasya, the Karna, and then you can hold some coconut oil in your mouth, swish it around for 10 minutes, spit it out, and then you can just throw the Shirodara oil over your forehead and just, like a wave, and just keep flowing it as much as you can afford to, because the oil is expensive, so that your whole head is saturated. And this is the movement. This upward movement will help take the negative electrical impulses that accumulate at the skull from stress. So you know, after all the oil in all the orifices, you just, put that oil on your forehead, and just like a mother does to its child, so it falls asleep, or he or she falls asleep, and it's just so calming. And that just felt so good, what I just did to my own self. I'm starting to be like, oh, now let me fix my hair. My hair is all oily from Molly and Nietzsche giving me Abhyanga today, which, by the way, the two of you did an amazing job. You passed, hands down, fantastic. You really did very well. I'm so impressed and proud of you. So I haven't had a chance to take the oil out of my, but I think I'm going to sleep with it. Okay, so that is Nasya Karnapurna, and there's so much more to learn about that. I'm just giving you an overview. There's a whole class on this, but overview of what it looks like. The Swedana is a steam therapy, but it can also be, go into those Indian sweat lodges. So it can be a dry steam, a dry sauna, or a wet sauna, or it could be, in front of a fire, standing in front of a bonfire. All of that heat can turn your face all flush, and it's such a warm feeling. And that's a very mild Swedana, but it's a Swedana. So whenever you start to raise your body temperature, it's called a Swedana. And some people who are high pitta, and we live in a pitta society, a lot of us are high pitta, including me, will often not get Swedana. When you go to the doctor, they will say, oh, high pitta, you can have all the modalities, but no Swedana. So when I did go to the Ayurvedic Institute, Dr. Lai wouldn't give me Swedana because I was high pitta. So I had my own little version of Swedana on the beach because the sun was so hot, but I was there during sunset, so it wasn't an excessive Swedana for me. If I had done this at noon on the beach, I would have had a serious Swedana, which would not have been good, and it would have disturbed my pitta, which was what I was trying to bring home. So the time of day was critical for me to choose, the afternoon, the twilight at the beach was so beautiful. And, it was sattvic, and the rays from the sunset just bring all kinds of magic in. I think they even have opiates you can actually inhale from gazing at the sunset. So you can literally feel high from that. And then the Udvartana can be a powder, or a wet mud, or a dry mud. What else can it be? Honey. It could be, it's some kind of a thick, unctuous something, or a dry, that you would use depending on the dosha. If you have a kapha dosha imbalance, then you would do a dry Udvartana, stimulating. If you had a vata imbalance, then you would do a wet Udvartana, more pacifying and soothing. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me?
What would you do if you had a pitta?
Oh, it's somewhere in the middle. A little wet and a little dry and medium pressure.
So what kind of powder would you use? Can you use chickpea powder?
Yeah, chickpea and rose petals would be so nice, and little corn. I have cornstarch. I have a really nice one I get from Burt's Bee. Yeah, any kind of a powder. You could even go on Banyan to see what they have for a powdered Udvartana. Yeah, the chickpea flour is a good one. That's a good idea. And then mustard powder is a good one for kapha. So Shirodara is my favorite treatment, and that is something hard to do on your own. There's a machine that I used to have, and I sold it when I went to Costa Rica, because my friends in Costa Rica can't get things mailed to them because it's not safe. People steal stuff at the post office, so that they're not as lucky as us. We just get things delivered to our doorstep from Amazon anywhere in the world, and it's safe, but in Costa Rica it's not. So whenever I go there, if they see something they like, I usually let them have it because they don't have the options. And one of these things is a portable plastic Shirodara unit that I think I used to sell it on my website. Crystal Mind, it's called. And you just put the water in it, turn it on, plug it in, and it would run like a faucet over and just stick your head inside, and nobody had to be there with you. And it did feel really nice. So if you want to get one of those, you could. They're maybe, I don't know, $900 and have it the rest of your life. I was thinking of getting another one. So anyways, you can do your own little mini Shirodara, just to, like I showed you, 5 minutes of just warm oil over your forehead. So any questions on those 6 that I just described?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, then Triphala eye wash. This is a big one. I really need to do this. I'm due for a Triphala eye wash. You make Triphala tea. You strain the Triphala powder out of the water. You let it cool so it's just warm. And then you put it in one of those little plastic eye cups that you can get at Walmart. And, and then put it up against like this. And then put your head back and seal it off. And then let your eyeballs roll right to left. And that Triphala will clean your eyes out like no other, but it does magic as well, because in Triphala there is Harataki. Harataki actually nourishes the third eye, has affinity directly to your third eye. So while you're in there washing out your earth eyes, the Harataki is busy taking off all the gunk in the third eye and increasing your intuition. So we all need more intuition. With all the fluoride and all the water and all the gunk growing on our third eye, everyone's dumbed down. We need a lot of Harataki so that we can open up the lenses of our intuition. And what's that?
I said, now I've had cataract surgery and I have implants in my eye. I couldn't do this.
Oh, you need to ask a doctor before you do that. Very good question. I don't have the answers to that. I need to know to the degree of what surgery you had and have to ask you a bunch more questions, and we don't have time for that. But you would need to ask your doctor, tell him what this is, and tell him it's an eye wash, and then see what he says. And I would follow his advice. How's that?
That's good. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And then the Netrabasti is actually warm oil in the eyes using a donut, but not like from Dunkin' Donuts, but you make a donut. It's really like you're going to learn Basti treatment, not this weekend, but next weekend, some of you at the massage school. It's a paste of wheat flour, which is very sticky compared to other flours, and water, and you roll it together and like make a snake, and then you wrap the snake around and you stick it in tight against the skin. And you can look at this online. People, probably YouTube, are showing how this is done. And then you pour warm ghee as you're laying down, and your eyes are open, and the ghee goes in. And the ghee actually does dissolve fat toxins, and we have a lot of fat toxins in our eyes. I know this because I did it, and my friend was watching them come. The fat toxins actually bubbled out of my cornea, and they floated on the surface of the Basti. And then they, scooped it out and put more warm ghee and cleaned it out. And so like dissolves in like, and what it does is loosen up the toxins that are just stuffed in our eyes, and then they float. Fat floats. It floats to the surface, and all the toxins in the fat go with it. So it's really fantastic. I remember getting this eye Basti done and opening my eyes after the treatment. I was in New Mexico, and I was just like, wow, it's so colorful and bright and clear, and my eyes felt so lifted. It made my body feel light, because when your eyes feel tired and heavy, it sends a signal to the whole body, you are tired and heavy. But when the eyes feel like, oh, I can see better, and they feel like they were just massaged and kissed by some magical something happened, that it was just most blissful experience. You would think, you're looking at it, looks like this is silly and stupid, but it was profound. I can tell you firsthand. And then the Netrabasti Shavasana, we all know it's rest. We need more rest. So at the end of every Panchakarma, at the end of every serious activity, we should always be able to integrate and rest and witness what we just went through. Okay, so moving on. That's how my Panchakarma went, and there are other ways to do it. There are some people who do vamana and bloodletting, rakta moksha, and there's, sometimes if somebody's serious pitta, I would say go give blood because you need to clean your blood out. And when you do give blood, your spleen kicks in a new bunch of blood. And some people's blood is just hot and dirty, and you could just do a million things. Ayurveda could do Abhyanga, Garshana, you could do all those things, but if their hot, dirty blood doesn't go away, you aren't going to make a lot of progress. And you can tell if there's hot, dirty blood, if there's skin infection, usually, like a psoriasis, then they actually put leeches, I will tell you. It's so disgusting. But these leeches, there's a whole science, and I actually watched Dr. Ladd give a speech in Connecticut at the Yukon to doctors, and he appealed to the doctors in this speech using their verbiage, speaking their language. And I'll tell you what, I walked in saying, there's nothing you could say to convince me that I would ever want to put a leech on me to do this rakta moksha. No way. I'm so stubborn, I'm not going to be convinced. I'm humbled to say I was totally convinced. Everything he said about them, every doctor in the room walked in with my same attitude. He changed everybody in the room. Within 2 hours, everybody was totally open and in awe of what leeches could really do to the body. So I'll leave it at that, and you guys can stay skeptical if you want. I have no judgment, because I was, until the way he explained it, and I could never even try to be him or explain it the way he did. But I'll tell you what, keep an open mind always, even though it sounds barbaric to put a leech on you.
I've done it as a nurse.
What?
I have done it for my patients as a nurse.
Oh my God!
When people, we get special sterilized leeches that come from the pharmacy, and people who have had trauma surgery, and
how did you know to do that?
And then you apply it on the wound for a few minutes, and then take them off, and then we put them in another place, and then they go back to pharmacy and they're discarded.
Amazing. How did you learn to do that as a Western nurse?
Well, I don't know. I just learned what they taught me.
And they taught you this in the United States?
Yes, I've only learned nursing in this country. I wasn't a nurse in India. I was a teacher in India.
I can't believe they teach this in
No, it was only on an orthopedic floor. The surgeons trained us.
Still, I can't even believe it. Surgeons in allopathic medicine were using leeches. They must have been at Yukon listening to Dr. Ladd.
for a special, for these patients who've had trauma surgery.
Yeah?
It was.
Wow. I'm really impressed. Okay, well, that's so cool. I never heard of it. Okay, I'm scrolling down to see it. Is everybody here with me? Because I can only see 3 people. Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm here.
Oh, good.
I'm here.
Oh, here. Ruby. Okay, you're all there. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, Indu, I'm so amazed. I'm going to have to really think about how did they must have been at Dr. Ladd's Yukon.
I have no idea. All I know, it was done. It's done for trauma patients, and particularly only certain patients, not for everyone.
Right, the ones with the hot, dirty pitta blood.
But this is allopathy, not Ayurveda.
That's why I'm so surprised, because it is an Ayurvedic modality, but maybe it's out there now. Dr. Ladd is not teaching students anymore. He is out there teaching doctors, so he's maybe making a difference. And
this was many, many years ago.
Yeah, no, he was teaching many, many years ago to doctors, saying
maybe he may have taught them. I don't know.
He started in 2000 teaching doctors and stopped teaching.
This was way before that. I learned this in the 90s.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, that's awesome, actually. So, anyways, we're moving on to I forgot where I was. Okay, so the khichdi. The khichdi is actually yummy. And you can add, something to it on if you have vata disorder, you can look at the vegetables on the vata menu, and you could add, maybe carrot, sweet potato. Or if you have a kapha imbalance, you can add to this recipe, maybe you can add some broccoli or some sort of kapha reducing vegetable. I think zucchini. So, if it gets boring, you get boring, but rice and beans over and over, you can start to not want it anymore. But you can spice it up a little bit, play with it a little with some added vegetables, dosha-specific vegetables. Okay, spiritual and emotional. I told them how to do the enema. Yes, I'm just rereading all of this. It means 5 actions. I told you that. Okay, so let's look at these phases. It's pretty interesting. There's something called Purva Karma, which is the action before Panchakarma. So I told you a little bit about that, doing the Varechana part, the part of the Triphala. Some people use castor oil or cascara sagrada, senna, other herbs that are laxative depending on their dosha. Pitta people should not be doing castor oil, but they can do Triphala. They especially can do harataki because it's great for pitta.
Yeah, he said he'll be here at 8:30, but
Somebody's not muted. So mute yourself if you're having a conversation. And then you have the actual Panchakarma cleansing phase, which I already went through. There is something called vamana, which is vomiting. It sounds like vomiting, and it is vamana. And that is something for kapha. So if you go in for Panchakarma with a serious kapha imbalance, which could be, not that you're overweight, but you could be, but if you have a tumor, for example, a big fibroid or cysts all over your ovaries, some sort of extra earth growing secretly inside, they would make you do vamana. So you can have kapha manifesting, excess kapha manifesting outside the body and inside the body. So it's up to the practitioner to know where is it, and then should they do vamana? Should they not do vamana? And they will give you a drink. Usually it's licorice and something else. I forget what Dr. Ladd's concoction was. You drink it down. But the fun part of it is you get to eat pizza. He gives his kapha people pizza. So you get to eat this big, juicy, cheesy pizza. And, that's just the day before you're going to vomit. The next day, he gives you the concoction to drink so that the pizza actually helps to bring up more of what's stuck in the belly. So that's that. Okay. Yeah, so then there's the cleansing phase, and that happens more toward the end, and it's typically the basti. So you can even do a colonic, which is a big deal. It's not a little, you go to a professional colonic or colon hydrotherapist, and make sure you go to a good, clean one that's certified, and you can have a lot of water put up there and release a lot. Don't be afraid to release, because there's a lot of stuff there from 1950. It's like popcorn seeds from 1963. So there's just, how many miles of intestines do we have in our belly? I forget, but there's a lot of stuff in our belly that we need to get rid of. So we really need, people are afraid of these colonic places and afraid to put any water in their butt and afraid to do all this, but it's really important. It's a huge important part of Panchakarma. Okay, so let's move on to, what else should I tell them? And you can feel free to copy this if you want to. If you are, planning maybe next year after you've done some practice to do something like this, you can pull pieces from this document. You can ask me for the Word document too if you want, and it's easier to cut and paste. So here are the 5 Panchakarma therapies. Vamana, which I told you is vomiting. Varechana, which I told you is the purgation of the intestines. And the basti, basti is many things. It's basti can be cleaning the colon, but you can also be cleaning, toxins from a wounded area. Like if somebody has a wounded L5, they're maybe having sciatic pain, and we could put a kati basti on L5 on their back, and that's a purification of L5. Okay, and just for an example, I have a guy that called me today who injured his knee, fell down off a ladder and landed smack on his knee, and it cracked and broke, and it's horrible. And he said, I want to learn about Ayurveda. He was 75, and he said, and I've tried everything. I was going to try acupuncture, and I'm open, and I'm a metaphysical kind of guy. He actually has a metaphysical cable show he invited me to be on. He said, what would you do as an Ayurvedic if I went to you for Ayurveda for the pain in my knee? It's clicking. Whenever a joint starts clicking, it's a vata making noise. It's the air. So I said, well, it sounds like your joint was traumatized pretty badly. It wasn't an overuse injury. It wasn't genetic. It wasn't, just getting old, falling apart, and having, arthritis. It was literally a trauma. And when somebody has a trauma like that, especially to a joint, then a lot of fear will go into the joint, and it has its own dialogue saying, oh my God, we're afraid. This could happen again. You could fall off a ladder. We better protect ourselves. And then all this air will start to accumulate, even maybe some water to swell and protect the joint. So it's in fear mode. The dialogue hasn't left. Fear dialogue hasn't left. As soon as you put oil in a basti dodam around a knee like that, the oil penetrates deep into the structure of the knee, and it sends a signal, all is well. It's okay. You don't have to be afraid. We're not going to fall again. You are loved and protected and safe. That's what the basti does to the physiology, to the psychophysiology, to the chakra system, and all of the psychology of the body. The dialogue changes its story because love is oily, and there's love coming from the oil into the knee. And where there is fear, there can be no love, and where there's love, there can be no fear. So I said to this old man, why don't you come to the Kati Basti class next weekend? Not this one, it's next weekend. I said, and you could possibly get a treatment from one of the students. And he said, well, I would love to experience it, and you could be on my show. So I'm going to go and talk about Ayurveda on his show. And I hope that his knee actually, I hope he has a radical recovery from a really beautiful Kati Basti on his knee from somebody in the class. Okay, so Basti, that's my version of Basti. There's so many different types. There's a heart Basti too. Anybody that had a broken heart, you can, retain oil, let it flow over your heart organ, and that love goes into the heart and helps to heal the heart if the heart is ready. And then we talked about nasya, we talked about bloodletting. Quickest, easiest way really is the leeches. That's not so easy to find the leech. Donation. So go in there and donate your blood. Make sure though that you don't have anemia. You can always look inside your eye like that and see if it's all white in there, or is it light pink, or is it like a nice red? You want it to be between red and pink. If you have inside your eye more whitish pink, you could be borderline anemic, and then you don't want to be giving blood. I don't want you to feel sick after you give the blood. So a lot of PIT people have blood disorder, anemia. A lot of people walking around as vegetarians in our little kindred spirit community, they're vegetarians, but they don't know how to get iron. So they're iron deficient, because they're not getting enough beans. You can get iron from mung beans is one of the best ways to get iron, and seaweed is another great source of iron, and the medjool dates that you soak in the ghee, which I was looking for that recipe, but if you ever just want to make ghee, throw some medjool dates and saffron. This is I digress, the dates and ghee recipe. Then eat those dates, one date every morning that's been soaked in ghee, first thing, and it's like chocolate. It's delicious, and it's an ojas precursor. It tastes delicious with the saffron and the cardamom and the ginger in the ghee. It's so amazing. Also, you can do Rakta Moksha, which is, I'm going to teach cupping, and I'm going to teach a little bit of Rakta Moksha with the stone, the edge of the stone. I think it's in 3 weekends from now at the school. So the cupping is wet cupping and dry cupping. And we're really not going to do any wet cupping, but I'll teach you about it. And it's, if you squeeze the cup hard enough after you've punctured a little bit with needles, and you squeeze the cup on tight suction, then the blood can come out. And this happens to me actually right here by accident, but there are no accidents, right? So I cupped myself here one time, and I cupped it so hard because I had so much pain from too much computer work that squeezed the cup so hard that blood came out, and it actually felt good. I didn't even know I had blood coming out, and my girlfriend was visiting, Ella, and she's like, "What happened to your back? It's all bloody." And I was so surprised, but I actually felt so much relief. It sounds like barbaric, but it is actually a remedy. So there was hot, dirty blood stuck here, and the suction from the cups pulled it out so that I released the pain through the bloodletting. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, and it doesn't sound kind of out there, but it is very ancient and scientific, effective therapy. Any questions before I move on?
I have a question. I'm reading your recipe of this khichdi,
Yeah.
and you say use rock salt, but rock salt has no, the iodine in it. So how do you, because when we buy kosher salt, we always make sure there's iodine in the salt. Why do you say use rock salt?
I don't have the answer to that. So that's what Dr. Ladd said, and I stopped questioning him after the first 3 months. He's so brilliant. I don't remember why he said rock salt, but I'm just going with it. So you can do whatever you want.
I just was curious about the iodine.
Yeah. I don't have the answer. You can just put some Himalayan salt if that makes you feel better.
Does the Himalayan salt have iodine?
Himalayan salt? Not usually.
Yeah, that's what you missed the iodine part of the
iodine. Yeah, you might get your iodine in another way. You can figure that out as long as you have awareness that you're missing iodine. I take iodorol supplement, so I don't worry about my salt having it. But if you were worrying about your salt having it, then I would go to the health food store and find a salt that specifically has it and use that, and then you'll feel better. It is really good for breast health to have iodine for preventing breast cancer.
Yes, I know.
Yes, very important. So here are the prices in due you've been looking for 2 to 3 hours, a $300 price. I gave it a sliding scale for 1 day. In that 1 day, it was 2 to 3 hours. And that included the khichdi and the ghee and all the organic oils. And it's 2 quarts for Shirodara. 2 quarts of organic oil is expensive. So when you think about it, I had to, clean the sheets, and it was a lot of work. I really felt like I deserved $800.
Well, it's a great luxury, but it's nice. It's great. Someone can afford it. It's good, and then it's very healthy. I mean, you benefit by it with your health.
Well, it's fantastic. You just getting the treatment. You're exhausted. So I don't want anyone here to be as exhausted as I was giving this for $300. Really, I would have rather to do 3 abhyangas that day and made my $300 that way than having gone shopping for the mung beans, sprouting them, cooking them. It's a lot of work. So I
never knew a massage costed so much. So this is very educational for me. I never knew that.
Well, it's very expensive. You have, a lot of oil, and it's your time, and your sheets get oily. And it's if you have a good therapist, it's worth $100 an hour, or $125, $150. It is so worth it. You can really experience deep, profound healing from a really talented Abhyanga therapist. Take you to the next level of your health. But
I go to a lady who gives me a massage, but she does it dry.
Yes.
And with her, I can walk without a cane. I couldn't.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You got profound healing right there. Then you don't even need me to convince you.
Yes.
Then, I can't say enough about massage. Is why I'm passionate and why I opened a massage school. And
it's great. I mean, I never realized how it is so good for the health.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it so amazing?
It is.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to other more fun things that have pictures. We like pictures. Enough of these words. You guys can keep this for your own, someday if you ever want to do Panchakarma. I would jack up your price though a little bit, You can still do a sliding scale, but if you're going to do it really well and you're really qualified and you're using sacred organic oils, really it should be more money. And to do Shirodara alone, it takes 2 or 3 people to do it right. So it's exhausting to try to be 3 people for a Panchakarma, to be the psychologist, to be that second person in the Shirodara room, and be the cook, and be all of it. So it's $300 is really, it should be $500 to $800 right now. So this was back in 2007. So let's see, these are old figures. So I'll let you guys decide. Okay, so let's look at Panchakarma PowerPoint. All right, so here are the 5. Does anyone remember what the word Pancha means? Somebody yell.
Pancha's 5.
5, thank you. You're with me. Good, and do you remember what was the Rakta Moksha? Do you remember?
No, I'm sorry.
Isn't that the cupping?
Yes, it's like a cupping. It can be, if you do wet cupping, it can be Rakta Moksha. Oh,
sorry.
oh, that was your doggy. Oh my God. Always wanted to meet him. So is there anyone else that can tell me specifically what is Rakta Moksha? Besides the wet cupping, what does it actually do? We just had a big talk about it with Indu. Anybody?
Karyn, it cleans the blood.
Thank you.
It's a blood
I wanted to make sure you're all with me. No one's sleeping. Yes, thank you, Nikki. It is a blood cleaner, bloodletting, blood purification. And literally, if you want to know what the translation is, Rakta is the blood tissue. You know, you studied the dhatus. Rakta is one of the tissues. It's related to the blood. And moksha, anyone know what that means?
Moksha, no.
Moksha, Sanskrit word for moksha. It means liberation. So it's blood liberation. And then vamana, some people just say vaman. That's easy because it was vomiting. And then varechana, does anyone remember? What was the varechana part of Panchakarma? Anyone?
No.
Purgation.
Purgation of what part of the body?
The intestines?
Yes, thank you. You got it. Was that Molly?
Well, Molly typed it and I read it out loud.
Okay. And then Nasya, I know you know that, so I don't need to ask you. Basti. So we talked a lot about Basti, and you know the best part of the Panchakarma is at the end where you get to release everything through Basti. Okay, let's move on. India's ancient quintet of therapeutic actions for rejuvenation and purification. I want to make sure I read everything. Okay, preponderance. So basically, to determine what type of Panchakarma you should do for yourself or your client, it depends on, are you catabolic or anabolic? What is your current imbalance? And are you needing, like, say, a wet Udvartana or a dry Udvartana? Do you need to pacify Vata, pacify Kapha? Which one? So the preponderance is you're going to put all the modalities. There'll be a little Abhyanga, a little Garshana, a little of all the modalities, maybe except Swedana if you're Pitta, but just how much of the modalities and to what degree. So it's a very fine dance of maybe we do a light Abhyanga and we do more Shirodara and we do less friction Garshana but more of a gentle powder for a Vata. But the Kapha person might get the same modalities done differently. Does that make sense? So it could be softer pressure or harder pressure. It could be more friction with rough sand, or it could be smoother powder, silky, if it's somebody who's sensitive and catabolic. So all of these things apply, but to what degree, what preponderance are the doshas, and how much are you catabolic and how much are you anabolic? And you can tell some ways. I'll give you some ways to figure out what you are. Let's see, what else? Delicate balance, okay. Okay, so we can kind of tell about a dosha, whether it's catabolic or anabolic, by just the client describing their pain. the way they describe their pain. Are they desperate and telling you how much it's ruined their life and how much it hurts and they're crying? Or are they more apathetic, like, oh, well, it's a dull ache and it's been there for a while and I don't mind it? Or is it just, I'm so mad about this pain. This damn pain has just been, and that's a pitta pain. So right off the bat, you can already tell if it's a vata, pitta, or kapha person just by the way they're describing their pain. So let's look at that. I would ask them not only observe their description of their pain, but where is the pain and what time of day, night, and season. Very important. Because, if you understand the seasons and how they relate to the doshas, if you understand the times of day as they relate to the doshas, oh yeah, it happens every day at 1 p.m. I get this sharp burning pain right here. Damn it. They swear. and they're penetrating with their words, and they look right through you, and it's a burning pain, and it's at the height of pitta time of day at 1 o'clock. So you can start assuming this pitta involved here, and that is a catabolic disorder. Let me go on and.
So I'm sorry. When you say they ask the season, so how would you know what season is what pain?
Well, when they come to you, they come to you and they say, "Oh my God, I couldn't wait anymore." It's now I'm at the height of my pain and I can't take it anymore. And that usually happens. I would say, let's just use pitta for example. So a pitta person will accumulate the summer season in their body all summer, and by September, the fall, just as it starts to cool down a little bit, the accumulation of pitta hasn't gone away. They have a huge pile of it left in their tissues, and it starts to flare up and throb and burn, and it's piercing, and it gets them angry. And they come to you, and you notice this is the time of, I would always get these people in September or October, I'm speaking from experience, all these tennis players, we have the Tennis Hall of Fame, we have a lot of athletes, people doing marathons and biking, and so they're all accumulating pitta all summer long, and then I'm booked up in September with everybody who comes in with pitta problems. So what I would do is a lot of cold stones. I would do coconut oil, cool them off, and tell them, aloe vera gel, and just the white quartzite cold stones. I build a cocoon around their tennis elbow or around their knee joint that was throbbing. So you just have to notice what time of year are your people coming and how are they expressing it. Or if you don't know, if you wonder maybe this started in the winter and they just put it off, that's telling in itself that it probably is a kapha person. Kapha people have apathy. They just put up with it. Oh, it happened last winter and I've been putting up with it all year. So you might ask them, when did this start? Because the start of something is very telling, right? So does that help your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then you have to kind of also observe how they look. Are they watery eyes, oily eyes? Like Deepak Chopra has thick, dark, shiny hair and his thick eyelashes and eyebrows, and his eyes are oily. I'm just giving you someone you've probably seen speaking. And he's got this thickness. It's oozing, unctuous energy body that I wouldn't want to use a lot of heavy oil on him, on Amyanga, because he probably already has too much oil, excessive oil. So I would do more of a Panchakarma for him that might be for anabolic person to reduce the anabolic issues in his life, which, that means I would do pacifying things for kapha. So I would do friction, stimulation, more spicy foods. I'll go deeper pressure with the body work, really sway in a big, heat him right up. Unless it's right in the middle of the summer, you gotta watch out because oily people can also be hot. So you could do the steam somebody like that in a drier part of the year, like the fall. And that would be when I would recommend doing Panchakarma, like that. All right, moving on. Here's the pitta pain, pitta baby with the man face. Does somebody else want to read this? Indu, do you want to read this Pitta thing? I don't want to bore you with my voice.
No, your client who have an excess of pitta, water and fire will be obviously annoyed and impatient as they describe their pain with a sharp, burning, and hot. Once you're sure it's pitta, you can recommend a pitta-reducing diet, lifestyle, and yoga postures. Recommend that I give these recommendations in the form of a suggestion, not a mandatory stipulation or rules. Better yet, you can get your points across using questions. If you are clever, Pitta does not like to be told what to do. Use a moderate amount of oil, not too much. Apply a moderate amount of pressure, not always. Check in with them or ask if the pressure is okay, because they will usually have an opinion. They will usually want to tell you exactly how to massage them. It is best not to argue with the Pitta client. They may need their ego stroked more than they need their muscles stroked. Oh my God, this sounds like my daughter.
Oh, we all know people like this. Okay, thank you, Indu.
You're welcome. When you say their muscles stroked and not their ego. So when I talk to my daughter, she gets all worked up. So I just let her chat. I just let her talk and vent.
That's good. That's good. Good mama. Now you know how to deal with your Pitta child. I have a Pitta child too. You can't tell them what to do. You have to just let them do their thing and don't there's only one sun in the galaxy for a reason. So if you have two Pitta people living in one household, it's going to be explosive. So we have to allow everybody, if you have awareness, let your daughter be the sun, and she can shine as loud as she wants, and you just take the more watery, loving, compassionate, cooling dosha and let her, otherwise the two of you, if you both have the sun, you're just going to burn each other out. So good, you're a good, smart, wise mama.
Thanks.
So Heidi, would you talk about Vata pain? Would you read this for me?
I sure will.
Thanks.
Vata pain. Your clients who have an excess of Vata, ether and air, will be in a moderate amount of pain that is radiating, elusive, unpredictable, or gripping. They usually experience pain more dramatically than Pitta or Kapha, and can appear very needy and hopeful that you, the therapist, can help them. Once you are sure it's Vata, you can recommend Vata reducing diet, lifestyle, and yoga postures. Give these recommendations with a soft, compassionate voice. Vata is like a delicate flower. Give them compression therapy and make your massage movements slow and confident. Use lots of oil. Use wringing and squeezing techniques.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay.
What do you mean by these postures? I don't understand the postures. What would a yoga for a Vata be? What kind of a posture would they do?
Posture is the same thing as like just a yoga pose, I guess. You've seen yoga because you've been doing yoga hopefully in this program.
Yes, I am, but the lady who teaches us yoga doesn't tell us this is, Vata posture and this is.
Yeah. So what makes it a Vata pose is usually it is on the floor close to the earth. So as much of your body touching the earth as possible. So anything laying down, the plow.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just not standing, because you only have your feet touching the earth. Standing yoga isn't so much Vata pacifying, but laying on the ground, slow, restorative, nothing hot and sweaty, nothing too rugged or fast, something very gentle and with pillows and softness.
This is what, okay.
That's Vata pacifying, yeah. Okay, good question. Now we go to Kapha pain. I love this guy, meh. He doesn't care. I've had a lot of kapha clients come in, and they don't say meh, but they're like, you know, it's been there for 20 years, and you know, maybe you could work it out with your elbow. It's just a dull ache, and those are words they use to describe it. They never describe burning, stinging, stabbing, pain, radiating, nothing. Same spot, 20 years, dull ache, I just deal with it. Meh, like that. And sometimes you get a mix. You get a little pitta person that's a little bit of kapha and pitta, and they'll talk a little angry, a little burning over here, but then a little meh, pain in the, you know, kapha part, let's say, or let's just say the hip or something. There's a spot there that just is stuck, and they just put up with it. So there's a mixture right there, somebody who's kapha and pitta, and you can learn to work on both places, like the kapha spot that's been there a long time that he didn't really express a lot of emotion around. And you would do kapha stimulating modalities, like get your elbow in, do a little chopping, get some friction, you know, serious gloves that have, you know, texture, and get in there. You can do the drum right over him. And if you have the pitta pain up here, then you could just do some cooling white quartz stones, some peppermint oil, cooling down with gentle but medium pressure strokes with coconut oil or something like that. You got the idea. Okay.
My lady does this shiatsu massage for me. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Shiatsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff too. We're going to learn that at the school. Good stuff. Hey, Susan, would you like to, do you mind if I call on you? I'd like to hear your voice and have you do the kapha pain.
Yes, so just read it?
Yes, would you mind?
No, that's fine.
Thanks.
If the client apathetically describes his or her pain as dull, stubborn, and stays in one place, this will be a clue that kapha, earth and water, is in excess within their bodies. Once you are sure it's kapha, you can recommend a kapha reducing diet, lifestyle, and yoga postures. Give them recommendations with authority and conviction in your voice. Kapha is intrinsically lazy and will need you to really push them to take action. Do not use much oil, if any. They will respond best to dry, stimulating massage such as Twina, shiatsu, garshana, dry brushing, or deep Thai massage. Rigorous and vigorous therapy is indicated for them to release pain. So what's Twina?
Twina, good question. It's from China. It's like shiatsu, and it's with your clothes on, and it goes in deep with the thumb, and they dig in, and then they move it up. So they take the fascia, and they just drag it with right along the meridians. They go right in a line, and they don't just push in. They push in and drag, so that the body feels like it was stretched. It's like a yogic, deep. They believe in some pain, these Chinese people. I was in China once, and I'll never forget this. I was in the bathroom. I was in a fancy hotel with my father, and these Chinese people were in the bathroom waiting to do Twina on people, just American people. Maybe they were hoping for a tip. But they just came out of nowhere. When you start washing your hands after you use the restroom, you go to use the rest, wash your hands. They come up from behind you and they start doing all over your back, and it's like you feel like you're being attacked because it's so. They believe it's supposed to shock you, because if you don't get like a stimulated, then no good happens. They believe in stimulation because it wakes up the neuroreceptors in the brain to send white blood cells, the phagocytes, to the area to heal. Otherwise, if they just come up to you and they gently touch you, they don't believe that this is effective. So it's very shocking as an American, because nobody does that in America. They don't jump you basically in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But in China, that is their culture. So I had to sort of get used to that. So
so they don't ask you about it.
No, they don't ask you. They just go right in. So, but I learned to say no, thank you. It's a boundaries, but it is a powerful therapy if you get the right therapist. You can get this in New York. When you go to New York City, they're all over the place. These Twina Chinese people, they import them there, and there's these Chinese places where you walk in, it says Chinese back rub like that, or Chinese reflexology. They're doing Twina, So
In Chinatown, probably.
yeah, but all over. It's all. I go to visit New York City all the time. My dad lives there, so I always walk down the streets and I'll see these Twina people everywhere, and they lay the massage tables out in one big room, and it is aggressive work with clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very effective. I like it. If you got the right person, not everybody is effective. Okay, so shiatsu is like Twina, but it comes more from Japan and Korea. And Garchana is Ayurvedic, and this is the dry brushing with any kind of like a silk glove or a bristle, anything that has rough texture. Okay, and then deep Thai massage is from Thailand, which I love. All right, moving on. Kapha pain, where are we? Best time is the spring. This is when we've accumulated all the winter in our body, and we're doing a big cleanse. As most people actually get a cold around springtime, and that cold is the body's way of getting rid of kapha. So at the cusp of every season, our bodies work diligently to remove the excess dosha accumulated in the tissues from the previous season. This is very important to know. That's why as the season changes, you can do maybe 1 or 2 day mini cleanse for yourself so that you support the body's natural process in cleansing instead of making your body get a cold, because it just doesn't want to slow down. You didn't feel like honoring that, and you're just too busy or whatever it is. Your body is just going to do it anyways, and you'll get a cold. So it's good to know that, oh my gosh, it's really warm out now. It was really cold last week. This is a cusp. I might need to eat lighter, eat more green. When you eat more green, it signals the body to heal. Okay, anytime the body is
cleansing, so it's just do cleansing.
More cleansing with green foods, alkaline foods, mung beans. I even eat them raw, soaked and raw. Fresh fruit in the morning. On your doshic side, if you're pitta, make sure you eat a sweet fruit in the morning, like a mango, sweet mango. Fruits are tissue cleansers, and vegetables are tissue builders. So cleanse. So take a day or two and just drink fresh juices, green juices. Green is really one of the best colors to eat or drink when you're doing the cleanse. It has chlorophyll, and it sends a signal to the body to heal. Okay, so the contraindications for Panchakarma or really any massage is during pregnancy, menses, and frail conditions. Now you could go get a pregnancy massage from somebody who's certified and knows what they're doing, but I will tell you that in Ayurveda, they don't believe in giving pregnancy massage at all. It's very interesting. I was at a lecture, and it was one of the NAMA conferences, and it was a female Vaidya doctor, and she does facials too. She will not give a facial or a massage to a pregnant woman. And I raised my hand because I was like, I can't just let her say this without explaining it, because, when we're pregnant, we want to be pampered. What do you mean? No, we can't get a facial massage. Horrible. So she actually convinced me otherwise. I actually understood why they think this. Now, I'll explain it to you. I don't know if I can do as good a job as she did, but, and I'm not in full agreement. I'm in 90% agreement, because I just don't have all the answers. I always am open to hearing another possibility, but 90% this resonated with me. I've been pregnant. So the baby does not have a discerning feature that has been, developed. It hasn't developed the discernment to know if the pain is a sweet pain or a bad pain. So when you're, going in on a muscle that's tight, and you go, oh, and you're like, that hurts so good, keep going. Well, the baby cannot distinguish, according to Ayurveda, whether the mother is really being hurt, and the baby can get nervous and interpret this as an attack. So it causes anxiety in the fetus. And then when you're squeezing in the facial, she pointed out that, sometimes it does hurt, and you get those little instruments and they poke at you and squeeze your blackheads, and you're all like red after. The baby, you might just be having a mild version of pain, but every little bit affects the baby. So that to me is interesting. And then I said, well, what if you just do a very light oil application where there is no pain? Then she's like, well, I wouldn't call that massage, I'd call it abhyanga. So we could do a very gentle, loving abhyanga where there's no ironing out the tight muscles and there's no signals being sent of any pain of any sort, sweet pain or bad pain, just a blissful experience for the pregnant woman. Okay, moving on. Time to determine. So we really, if somebody's having, for example, a mysterious insomnia and you want to know what is causing their insomnia, a really good way to find out is to ask them what time of night is the insomnia happening. This can be any time of day either. Just times of day and seasons give so much information. So somebody, let's say, for example, they fall asleep easily. That means Pitta's probably happy, but they wake up between 2 and 4. And that's probably saying Vata, is disturbed. And this happens continually. They have nightmares between 2 and 4, or they just wake up and eyeballs just open and they can't fall back to sleep. So we say to ourselves, well, what do? Do we give them Pitta diet, Kapha diet? What type of yoga? How do we handle somebody like this getting up at this time of night? You can pretty much be sure that this is a Vata type of disorder, and you would give them Vata pacifying modalities, Vata yoga, Vata food, Vata massage, even protocols like don't change your job, don't change the boyfriend, don't move your location where you are, don't travel in the air, just stay where you are, do some more structure with your day, with your meals at the same time, a bath at the same time every night, develop a very structured routine, change the dinacharya, which is, the daily, what they do. More hugs, more laughter and love, less stress, and ask them how they could start removing stress in their life, because stress will irritate Vata and you'll wake up at 2 o'clock every morning with stress. So it's so much wind in the system from overthinking and worry. Okay, so we're going on with the seasons. I think you all know the seasons. I'm not going to bore you with that. But it is very important. That's why I put it here. You should know your seasons and what dosha is highest during the seasons, like spring season. The dosha highest outside is mud, water and earth. So it's kapha. So we are microcosms of the macrocosm. So in the spring, we're going to have mud. Internally, we'll have thick blood. Blood platelets get sticky. And we need to remove the kapha in our bodies during the spring by eating clean and light. And I won't bore you with the other seasons because I believe some of the other teachers told you all this. Am I correct? You've learned this, right? Please say yes, you learned it. Did you all? Because you went through book 1, I'm assuming, right? Someone say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Then this is the stages of your life. I think you've also learned the times of day. But the newborns are kapha, even if they're born with the pitta prakriti, but they're generally like little butterball turkeys, and they resemble kapha. The nature of kapha is juicy, unctuous, squeeze them and kiss them to death because they're soft and roly-poly. And then as they grow, we go into the pitta stage of our life where we become more productive. We're not so soft and roly-poly, hopefully. And then we go into our vata stage of life, which we start to shrivel up and dry a little, wrinkled, and lose some of the collagen and become more catabolic. We start to break down the amino acids and the reservoir of minerals and vitamins that keep us unctuous and young. So generally, when you get somebody that comes to you and you don't have their prakriti clear, like you're not so sure about the pulse, or you're not so sure about their questionnaire, their profile questionnaire, and you're not so sure about all the things they're talking about. Maybe they have a mixture or plethora of different ailments that could be vata, pitta, or kapha. When you get to that point in a consultation where you just don't know what dosha is jumping out that needs to be pacified first and foremost, you then start to look at these things, the time to determine. Is it spring? Are they in the vata stage of life? and the time of day is even auspicious that they come to you. You look at that as like sort of an omen called nimitta.
So how do I know what's an auspicious time of the day?
This is said right here. So, this is a general, between.
Oh, these are the auspicious times. Okay.
Well, all times, well, I guess I shouldn't say. It could be any time that's auspicious, but when I say auspicious, I mean pertaining to a dosha. So, between 10 and 2 p.m., it's auspicious for pitta. So that means it would give you a hint, potentially, that, oh, I can't come in any other time. I got to come in 11 o'clock on Wednesday. That's a pitta time, and that could be an omen, because we believe in everything. You look at everything when you're assessing a dosha. We don't just look at the eyes and the skin and the pulse and the time of day and what day that they came on, a pitta day or a pitta time of day, pitta season. All of these things add up. You see what I'm saying? So you can't disregard. So if you ever get stuck, and I've been stuck, I've been there looking at a client, oh my God, you're Vata, Pitta, and Kapha equal, and I can't make my mind up what diet to give you. It's just so out of balance. You get into this, quandary. And that is when you start looking for omens. You start looking for what's speaking to you, like little things like all of their pots and pans burned. You open their cabinets and everything, all the pots and pans are black at the bottom. There's a pitch person for sure in that house. Have they had have their house burned down, or even part of it, or dryer fire, or do they burn themselves all the time with a curling iron, or something? These things matter. The little things that they came in during kapha time or pitta time or during kapha season, or so add all of these things up. It all matters, and is it the vata stage of life even? So if they come in during a vata stage of life and they're talking about pitta problems, you really need to look at what is jumping out the most. Is it that you have to pacify that they are more frail, for sure, but there's still a pitta problem. So you have to address both equally. Very, very delicate balance when you're giving a diet to somebody, or a chikitsa. We'll call it chikitsa, which is management. Okay, so let's go. Time to determine 2 types of toxins: fat soluble, water soluble, and we talked about that in the beginning, which is why we did ghee. And some people have gallbladder disorders, have maybe toxic livers, and have extreme pitta. And Dr. Lab would give bitter ghee. So there's something called tikta gritta, which is a bitter neem infused in the ghee, which could pacify pitta without destroying, the gallbladder and liver inflammation. It cools it down. Okay, moving on. And then Purva Karma, preparatory preventative treatment. We talked a little bit about this. Oh, I see a typo right here. Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah, this was done late at night when I was tired. Let me just change that. There. Does anyone want to volunteer to read this? Ruby, do you feel like doing Purva Karma?
Sure. Hold on, let me get this a little closer so I can read it better. Purva Karma are the preparatory procedures required to be undertaken before actual Panchakarma is done. As mentioned before, in some cases, the preparatory procedures are also a treatment by itself, after which no Panchakarma is performed. Special care must be taken in such cases that the dosha remain balanced. In case of any aggravation, Panchakarma must be immediately undertaken. The Purva Karma mainly consists of the following procedures. What is that?
Pakana.
Pakana, promoting digestion, i.e. Triphala, Tripatu herbs. Nihana oil treatment, drinking ghee, or Vedana for fomentation treatment, steam, or sauna. or sauna.
Thank you. Very well done. All right, let's go to the next one. Why drink ghee? Here's my bottle of dates and ghee. Oh my God, it's so yummy. People used to fight for this for Christmas. They'd be so mad at me if I didn't give them dates and ghee for Christmas and I gave it to somebody else. It's delicious if you want to make it.
So how do you make this ghee? It looks good.
Well, you know how to make ghee, right? Did anyone teach you how to make ghee yet?
Well, I just take unsalted butter, and I may boil it till it gets brownish, and then I put it into the coffee filter, and let it drip down, and then I have pure ghee. That's the way I make it.
Okay, that sounds interesting. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to make it, so you can learn how to make the ghee in the traditional Ayurvedic way, and then once you have made it, it's warm and you've strained it so that you've strained out that's all the triglycerides, and you want the essential fatty acids stay, the good low LDL, the good cholesterol. So then while it's still warm, add a pinch of saffron, pinch of cardamom, pinch of ginger, pinch of salt. Make it good salt. The Himalayan salt is my favorite. And then add the medjool dates. So the medjool dates are the best. They're
How do you spell medjool?
They're right. It's right there on your screen. See it in black?
Picture. Oh, okay, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm craving one right now. It tastes like chocolate because the dates have been soaked in this delicious warm ghee. And
I got to make this.
Yeah, you need to make it. And Dr. Ladd said it was a remedy for anemia and sexual debilitation and low ojas. So it is an ojas builder and helps to build the blood because the dates have the iron, and the saffron is ojas as well. So this is such powerful. I gave him a bottle once for Christmas and he loved it. I was so proud of myself for making it. I'm like, I made homemade dates and ghee, and it was his Christmas present. And he said one date in the morning at 6 a.m. when you wake up. That's all you should have because it's so decadent that it's like just eating chocolate. So it's really hard to eat one. I'm telling you, you're going to want to eat the whole bottle.
So a person who has Tippa or Kapha or Vata, they can eat this, or does it?
Yeah, anybody can have one date. It's okay.
One date.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. So it's hard to eat one. I'll warn you. I usually eat 2 or 3, and I can't help it. Okay, so let's move on. Dates and ghee. Oh, did I read this part? Does anyone want to read this? Molly, are you with me?
Why drink ghee?
Yeah.
And so,
I'm sorry, I was planting gardenia.
Oh my God, I have a gardenia bush. I love the gardenia.
I was trying to lower my pitta because I've been working with a lot of pitta clients. So I have jasmine and 4 gardenia, and I had to plant them today so they didn't die.
Oh my God, that's so great. I was just telling my gardenia plant that I was promising to put him outside because he's been miserable all winter inside the house.
Well, they're all planted now except for my jasmine, but I'll get that tomorrow.
Oh, sweet. Oh.
But I had you outside with me, so I was listening the whole time. So
okay, good. You feel like reading this? You can? Yeah.
Okay. Why drink ghee? Ghee, oil, fats, and marrow are the 4 unctuous materials. They should be given to drink just after sunrise. Unctuous materials have 2 sources, vegetable and animal. Sesame oil is the best vegetable oil, and ghee is the best animal fat. Unctuous materials should be administered for 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 days continuously. After the 7th day, it will have no more effect. The dose should be divided into minimum, medium, and maximum, depending upon the condition of dosha, season, agni, digestive capacity, age, and strength of the patient, charaka. The picture is of my medjool dates, saffron, cardamom, ginger, and homemade ghee.
Super yummy. Thank you for reading that.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice and see your face. Oh, makes me miss you. Okay, why drink ghee? So here we go to classical contemporary Panchakarma. This is a picture of somebody, this is what they do in India. There's usually 4 people doing a true Panchakarma. So that's why it's so hard on one person to do. The $300 is such a deal. Usually it's 3 people, 4 people giving one person the Panchakarma, the whole thing. So I'll read this. This is Charaka, which is one of the ancient Vedic Shastras, or that's a Sanskrit word for the textbooks, encompassed the entire therapeutics of internal medicine, Kaya Chikitsa, and into 6 categories. The Satupkarma, a generic classification of all possible actions that a physician takes to treat a diseased condition. So here they are. We have, I'll just read the English. The lightening therapy, the nourishing therapy, the drying therapy, the unctuous therapy, fomentation, and astringent. And to choose which one you're going to focus on, you might do a little bit of all of them, but it's going to be like a main focus. So the lightening therapy would be for somebody who has an anabolic disharmony. Maybe they're overweight, or they have a tumor, or they have edema, swollen, and they have too much earth and water. Then we want to lighten them up. And there's certain modalities that do that. And then if somebody needs nourishing therapy, then they have a catabolic disorder where they've lost their reservoir of minerals and vitamins and collagen and all the things that sustain us. They would need extra nourishment. They might get like a milk shirodara. Or they might get a milk enema and not a water enema. Okay, and then we do drying therapy. And that's usually for somebody who is also anabolic. They have too much oiliness, so we need to dry them out with powders, mustard powders, and dry sauna, eating more corn. Corn is a drying food. And then we do unctuous therapy, and this is usually for people who are catabolic and they're just dried up and they're older and they need lots of oil. And then we do fomentation to those people who are fragile and cold and shivery vata people. They need to be heated up, but not so much that they lose so much water that they dehydrate even more. So there's a fine line, but they do need heat because they're so cold internally. And then astringent therapy. This is more about herbs. So they would be giving you astringent herbs that would be helping specific doshas, so blocking. So if somebody has a blocking problem, there'd be too much kapha, they would give you an astringent herbal pack, and they might apply that to the body, or they might give it to you orally.
So what's an astringent? What would be an astringent thing to eat?
Oh, for example, a banana that's not really ripe. It's got that cottony, like that feeling. That's astringent.
Oh, okay. Unripe banana.
Yeah, an unripe banana is astringent taste. It gives you that stuck feeling in your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Helpful tidbits.
Avoidance of exposure when patients.
And you want to read it? You've already started.
Oh, okay. Helpful tidbits. Avoidance of exposure to wind. Patients should be advised about abstaining from exposure to wind, cold or hot, during the days of therapy and an equal number of days after. So when you say number of days after, what's the meaning of that?
So it depends on how long the Panchakarma was and how intense it was. So if you had a 3-day Panchakarma, I would just not be near wind for 2 days after. If you had a 7-day Panchakarma, you might 3 or 4 days not do wind.
Okay. Rest. Keep away from exercise and mental work. During the course of therapy, the patients are advised to keep away from strenuous physical exercises as well as mental exertion, such as reading, working on computers. watching television, etc., swimming, biking, and other sports should be discouraged. This may be very popular for some patients who wish to combine their holidays and therapy, but the same person will certainly complain if the desired results of a particular therapy is not fully achieved. Therefore, it is better to insist on following the regime and inform the patients in advance of possible inconveniences. A short walk without strains can be recommended. Besides yoga exercises under the supervision of a qualified therapist who is well aware of the ailments and ongoing therapies of each patient can be done. Okay.
All right. Thank you for reading that so beautifully.
Thank you. This is very interesting.
Oh, good. Yeah, I would figure you would find it interesting as a nurse. Yep. Psychological impact, really. I'm really still amazed at how psychologically impacted I was when I had the Panchakarma with Dr. Ladd. I thought, I'm a rock of Gibraltar, nothing's going to shake me, and I processed all my emotions. But there was things in there that I didn't know I hadn't processed that came up at the end of my Panchakarma. I felt really needy and sad, sorrow. I didn't know where that came from. From old boyfriends when I was 13, maybe. I don't know. But that stuff comes up with Panchakarma. And so anyone want to read this?
Sure.
Yeah, who's that?
Karima.
Karima, I was just going to ask you. Perfect. Yes.
We have observed various psychological reactions of patients under oilation therapy. Some persons will start weeping, others may shout, even scream, get euphoric or depressed. It so happened more than once that a patient felt so well at the end of the treatment that she refused to return home to her family and work.
That's a tough one.
The attendant should be well trained to deal properly with these sort of reactions, especially in patients with depressive disposition. The strong impact on the mind through body therapies are well known in Ayurveda. They are made good use of in severe mental complaints. These reactions are provoked by the awakening of the senses by our therapies and due to the extensive body contact between therapist and patient. And because people in modern societies have moved away from closed family ties, many have spent years living as singles. Professional life is very harsh and unforgiving, both men and women, and so people have grown shy of close physical contact and shy away from familiarity.
It's so true. Thank you for reading that, Karma. You did a beautiful job. Isn't that so sad, actually, our society,
I think the computer world, we are spending so much time concentrating on these games and tablets that we are losing touch with the humanity.
I do too. I think it's killing our human species slowly.
Yes. We're very lonely. We have become isolated.
Very isolating and lonely, and it's, disconnected from human beings. It's not, although you can feel connected because you're on Facebook or whatever, but we're missing the language of the body, the eyes looking at you, the mouth, the way you hold the face, the way you talk, the warmth, and it's the Shakti, that comes out from somebody else to you, the transference from someone that loves you. It's just, you can't get that from the computer. You just can't. Even it's hard to meet people when people are single and lonely in this world, and it's just, everybody's so busy that nobody's finding time for community. So we don't get touched enough. So the world needs more massage therapists.
In the Eastern world, I know we had grandparents, aunts, uncle, any elder person living in the family, which was so good.
Yes, because they really love you, and there's something about being close in physicality to someone that loves you. There's something that happens, and it is about the Shakti and the Darshan. There's something Darshan occurs when you're looking at somebody through the eyes. Darshan means to look, or Drishti is to look, and then from the heart, there's a Shakti transference comes right out from the guru to the student, or the mother to the daughter. And that isn't something you get from a computer all by yourself. And nobody's going to hug you like someone that loves you. So, yeah, this society has become very deranged, a lot of disharmony, a lot of sad, lonely people. And we need more touching, more love, more community. So with the school, I'm really hoping to build more community and more touching. I'm trying to bring that to the world. And I hope all of you have the same goal so that we can counterbalance all this sort of lonely computer game activity or TV watching. All these kids are just obsessed with the boob tube. Okay, so let's move on. I love this guy, Nich Thathan. So would someone like to read compassionate? Well, I'll read this part. Compassionate listening is to help the other side suffer less. If we realize that other people are the same people as we are no longer angry at them. Isn't that so beautiful?
That is very nice.
I know. I love this man. He's a gentle, sattvic soul. Like, he's enlightened. So I like his books. I like listening to him speak.
I've never read any of his books.
Yeah, look him up. Heidi, you feel like reading it?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, hi. There I am. Okay. Yes, I'd love to. Let's see where we are. Here we are. The massage therapies as such are very sensual and may cause erotic feelings in the patient. The unusual and sudden tender care and attention can provoke feelings of pleasure as well as agony. When making the diagnosis and prescribing such treatment, possible reactions should be taken into consideration. Besides close observation, I recommend in cases of possible fixation on a particular therapist or physician to prescribe synchronized massages. There, 2 or 4 persons massage the body of the patient, which makes it impossible for him to differentiate who is touching him, and he will then concentrate on the therapy instead on a particular person. I also recommend that therapists of the same sex as the patient should perform the massage.
Beautifully read. Thank you, Heidi.
Welcome.
Yes. I do want to say that I remember Dr. Ladd saying this in class, and I, being a rebel and a rule breaker, I wanted to think to myself, no, I'm not going to just take female clients. I'm going to take male clients, and this just sounds way too, OCD or, whatever. It was old-fashioned or whatever, by the book or letter of the law. And I learned the hard way. He was right. When I went out in the world and started giving Abhyanga to men, it's oily, and men associate oil with love and sensuality. I got in trouble. Several men became obsessed, and I had to put boundaries down, and it wasn't my intention. And sometimes they just can't help themselves. And then I decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I will, because I was a little afraid financially. I didn't have any money. So I didn't want to turn away the male clients. And I decided I'm going to use integrity, and in prosperity consciousness, I chose to cut them out. Except for 2 old men, I will say. I love these 2 old men. And yes, they were obsessed with me, but they were helpless, harmless, in wheelchairs, and oh my God, I love them. They were more like father figures, and they, I'm sure they had their own little dialogue going, but it was no danger to me at all. And over time, it was fine. But guys out of the yellow pages or Google or just finding me, it just wasn't going to happen. I couldn't do it. So I started seeing only women, and my clientele actually increased, and I made more money. So working from integrity and prosperity consciousness actually paid off. And I didn't have to worry about, are they going to jump up off the table and kiss me? Which one married guy did. Awkward moment. But yeah, this is very powerful, wise information, and I speak from experience. So take it from me. All right, no talking during therapy. This is really important, but I also want to say to you that there are some occasions where a therapist should listen to their client because maybe the client needs to talk. There may be a release coming out where they just don't have anyone else to talk to. So if they need to vent, then that's good. But you, the therapist, should not talk unless they ask you a question or something. It's not about you talking, it's about you listening. So let's get, Ruby, would you read this no talking therapy?
I think you're pointing this directly at me.
No, I didn't mean that about you. I don't even know if you're talking or not. Do you?
Okay.
Maybe you do. This could be, an omen. I don't know.
I'm a chatty Kathy. I can't help it.
Well, then maybe you should be reading this then. Yeah.
Yes, it's a good one. No talking during therapy. When 2 or more therapists work on one patient, they should not engage in any conversation with each other. They should be trained in such a way that all work is perfectly synchronized without any commands or arguments. During therapy, one should carefully observe the facial expression of the patient for signs of stress and take immediate action upon discovering such signs. If any psychological reactions like crying occur, the patient should be comforted with soothing words. Besides this, it is best to observe silence.
Beautiful. Thank you for reading that. Okay, the role of the massage therapist. This is very important. Even if you're not a massage therapist, you should know if you're going to get a massage, which I hope and I highly recommend everybody does, you should know what is the role of a massage therapist, the person that you're paying to massage you. What should you expect? And this is a big part of Ayurveda, not just eating the right food and doing the right yoga. It's receiving proper body work. It's very important. So let me see who, Nikki, do you want to read this?
Okay. Before and after the therapy, the therapist must inquire from the patient about his sleep, motions, digestion, emotions, reactions to previous therapies, and with diagnosis, find out the condition of the dosha. In cases of patients with hyper or hypotension, the blood pressure should be recorded before and after the therapy. Other chronic conditions must also be taken into consideration. The therapist himself must be healthy, fit, and emotionally balanced. Besides, one should have the will and the desire to help the patient. The physical, mental, and higher energies should be carefully controlled in such a way that one does not get exhausted. For this purpose, it helps to control the breathing. One should be well aware of the immense healing potential of the therapies and make best use of them. Never create any dependence of the patient.
Excellent. Thank you for reading that. Okay, so the only part that I want to take out of there is that blood pressure part. You don't need to be taking your client's blood pressure. This was done with somebody doing medical massage where there was a doctor involved. So the doctor would train the technician to take the blood pressure. So this is more about a Panchakarma massage therapist. So just everything applies except the blood pressure. Yeah, there are things we should know: digestion, sleep. These are important things for us to know. You can tell if somebody has high blood pressure by looking at their temples. You don't have to learn how to take the blood pressure with those things that wrap around the arm. However people take blood pressure these days. So many new ways of blood pressure diagnosis. But just looking here at the temples, vein, blue vein. If you see a blue vein close to the surface of the skin, and especially if it's throbbing, it's a sign of high blood pressure. Or just a sign of blood pressure issues. It could even be low blood pressure. They have issues with blood pressure.
But how would a person look at me? I'm not white. I'm brown. There's no blue in my face.
Well, no, I've seen blue in Indian people. If the vein is that close to the skin, it can turn blue, or like a little tinge of blue. It doesn't have to be as blue as somebody who's really, really white. Yes, then it's very blue. But there would be a tinge of blue, and then you could see a vessel popping out. You could still do this.
Is it when they're talking, or would you just observe it like that?
Oh, just observe it. I love reading the face of somebody. Maybe I'm nosy, but I love reading somebody's face while they're talking to me. They have no idea all the things I'm learning.
I know, like when we are, as a nurse, we were taught to look at because I worked with a lot of in dialysis with kidney patients and heart patients, they told us to look at the jugular vein.
Yes.
The jugular vein was, full and throbbing. That means they had high blood pressure. But I never heard of it near the temple. Now I have to start looking at people and observing their temple.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to see it. I don't know. I never looked for the jugular, but that's another idea too. But this one is very telling. I usually can spot it. I freaked out one boyfriend one time. I met him, only the third date in, and I was like, so what are you going to do about your high blood pressure? He was, have you been stalking me? How do you know I have high blood pressure? I'm so sorry. I got all flabbergasted. I felt like I was probably should not have said that because I assumed that he knew he did because he is somebody who was fastidious about taking care of himself. Anyways, yeah, you got to be careful who you're reading and who you're telling what you know, not to overstep. I had to learn the hard way. Okay, so let's move on.
The role of a client.
The role of a client. The patient should have faith and goodwill in the therapies as well as the therapist and should try to open himself for being helped. He should concentrate on the therapies and not on the therapist and not follow the instructions given to him, and follow the instruction given to him faithfully. Okay. That's hard to do because people usually really like to go to a particular therapist because they like that person and the therapy. So that's a really challenging thing as a client to say you're impartial to the person. But ideally, India, in Ayurveda, they are teaching the philosophy of non-attachment. So to learn to love the feeling and stay in your own lane, observe the feeling, observe the therapy, and observe your feelings in it instead of, nosing around into who is actually giving you the therapy. They really believe, Maharishi's famous saying was, stay in your own lane. So if you're not in your own lane, you're all, well, what kind of a therapist is she? And you're asking a million questions and you're becoming more attached to the therapist. And sometimes that just happens and it's okay. And I've had my patients become my best friends. So it's hard to keep the emotion out of it. But if you can do that and practice non-attachment at the same time, being aware that the therapy is what is healing you, and maybe even the gift in the hands of the therapist could be that many therapists have a gift in their hands, not just that one. So you don't want to get stuck in, she is the only therapist that works for me, and that's attached. That's the attachment. They're working to avoid that there isn't just one person that's good for you. Okay, going on to common modalities. I think we talked about this already. Picture of the Shirodhara, the Ibasti Udvartana. Yeah, so I did already speak about this in the beginning when I was going through my client flyer, promotional flyer. We went over these. So that's the end of the slideshow. Now we can look at the next handout. Does anyone need a little break? It's like almost 9 o'clock and I've been going and not giving anyone a break. Is everybody okay?
I'm
okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so here's the Khichdi nutritional overview. So this is why it's so amazing. This Khichdi is actually one of the most sacred food of the gods. And they even did a study at recently, Canyon Ranch, they did a study on mung beans and rice, and why is this such a, you know, why do people always eat mung beans and rice, or beans and rice in general? There's something there, and I don't have the actual science behind it, but there's something that there's a reason, a scientific reason that happens at a deep molecular level where there's this beautiful marriage and integration and reciprocity between the bean and the rice. So it makes this whole and beautiful protein, and it becomes a complete protein. And the mung beans, of all beans, are the only beans that are tridoshic. So the other beans can actually cause flatulence and indigestion and disturb vata. The mung beans don't do that, especially if you soak them overnight. Now, there was that little, you know, controversy about the sprouted mung beans. I remember living in Fairfield, and it just, you know, everybody was debating about it. If some people in Fairfield would not eat a sprouted mung bean because they say it emitted these little tiny toxins that, you know, mitigated the whole effect of, you know, trying to stay healthy and cleanse. And then there are those people who didn't think that the sprouting bothered them at all and actually helped because it gave enzymes, enzymatic activity to help the digestive process. So there's two schools of thought, and I don't have the answer. I never noticed when I did the mung bean sprouting. I tried to notice it, but I didn't notice it. It's just there was not an effect.
I learned that the sprouted beans, they have a lot of vitamin B value. And it is very nutritious. And if you could eat it first thing in the morning, even a couple of spoons of it, it was the best thing you could eat for yourself the whole day.
Yeah, I'm all for sprouting. Sprouting is supposed to be, you know, one of the best things for you. But I don't have enough information to give you, Indu, to tell you why they said the mung beans.
I know, my mother always made, sometimes she even sprouted chickpeas.
Yeah, you can do it with anything, really. Any bean can sprout. Yeah, and I think that's okay. I think all the other beans are okay, but there's something about mung, and I would believe it. I would tend to believe it only because mung are the only.
When you say mung, you mean the little green ones?
Yeah, mung dal, the mung little green.
Okay.
Yeah, those sprout. Yeah.
I don't know why, but even my Ayurvedic doctor, she used to always tell me to only eat mung dal.
Yeah, mung dal, that's what these are, the little green, and sometimes they come in yellow. So the yellow,
yeah. They remove the husk, the yellow one, but the nutrition is in the green one.
More, and it's green, you know, green is clean, and green is telling the body to heal. So the mung dal, the whole mung dal will have the most fiber and have a full, complete array of all the minerals and vitamins. It's not been, you know, the half little yellow, it has some been refined and processed, and when you go through that, some of the good stuff has been removed. So eating mung beans and rice, you can live a long time. 200 years old. Some of these yogis are found under the bonsai tree or the banyan tree.
Oh God, you don't want to live that long.
That's all they do, is they eat mung beans and rice. This is the most sattvic food, creating a sattvic personality, creating sattvic lifestyle.
But that would be so boring.
Yes, it's true. And the sattva can be boring. Sattva is, you know, it's for monks and people who are renunciates and living in monasteries, and they're praying and meditating all day. We need a little rajas. Here, living in the real world, we need to pay our rent. We need to go dancing. We need to have a little spunk, a little spice, a little fire. So we need a little combination of sattva and rajas so that we can stay in this community and live harmoniously, because we're not here to meditate 7 hours a day. Some of us might be, but not me. I tried it and it was not for me. It hurt my body to sit there for 7 hours.
It would be very depressing.
Yeah, a lot of these people would come to me very depressed because there was a program in Fairfield called Invincible America. Maharishi had put it out there, and it was to build more peace in the world. So he said, I'll pay you $800 a month to meditate 7 hours a day. So these people were there and getting $800 a day and meditating, sitting in the lotus position 7 hours, coming to me for massage, and they all had the same ailments. Their lower back, their knees from sitting in the lotus position were blown out. The lower back is just killer because there's no support. And they were in so much pain. They could hardly move.
But we haven't got much peace in the world. There's so many people fighting with each other.
No. I do believe in the Maharishi effect. You've heard of that. I do believe they made a difference. But, the principle is true. But I met some of these Invincible America people. They're my clients. And it ended up a lot of them were just on it for the money. Some of them were authentically on it to truly bring in world peace, but some of them were on it because they didn't have anything else to do, and they had found Maharishi during the Beatles era, and they just gave up their lives to follow Maharishi, and they didn't develop a skill or any career path, and they just were really good at meditating, and that's the only way they could make money, and they resented that because they didn't know what else to do, and their bodies were hurting and breaking down from sitting for so long. And so when that happens, then there's no peace inside. Then you can't project peace outside. So these people, and it's hard for the Maharishi University and all these people and that movement to actually know who was really projecting peace and who was really miserable. You have to sit down and interview them. And that's a long time. There's, 800 people. There's a lot of people, 500 in each dome, of 500 for women and 500 for men. So I used to know, I could tell who was miserable and who wasn't because they come to me as clients, and I could hear them mumbling and grumbling in the bathroom sometimes, and I could see them with their, boo-hoo faces walking into the domes trying to make it before 5 o'clock. And then there were those that were truly there because they had money in the bank, and they were there because they wanted to be, and they wanted world peace, and those are the ones that were making a difference. Okay, so I don't know how I digressed onto that subject.
I'm reading your notes here. I have a question about this lime and lemon. The lime is the green one and the lemon is the yellow one, right?
Right, lemon is yellow. Okay. Yes. So lime has a post-digestive effect of cooling. So it's called a vipak. So the vipak of lime is cooling, and the vipak of lemon is heating. And there's a lot of other people that believe different things, but this isn't Dr. Ladd's book. If you do look in his book under the post-digestive effect of these fruits and vegetables, you'll see that lime is sweet vipak. It was one of the questions that he asked me in a verbal exam that I did pass, by the way, that one. So the choice, if you're pitta and you have a high pitta problem and you're choosing between lemon or lime on your salad or in your drink, choose lime. Okay, let's see, what else to share with you? Oh, here's some information about the rock salt. I didn't think about this. This is what was written when I was really close with Dr. Ladd. And
what is rock salt?
Oh, yeah, so it's fresh water. That's why he does it. It's a natural salt containing iodine.
Oh, that's why lemon would burn.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't on mute, but I realized something. It clicked. You said lemon is heating and lime is cooling. I always wondered why some people have problems with lemon. It like burns their stomach.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Lemon is great, but that's because I'm kapha. So lemon would be good for me, but other people, it seems to give them a problem.
Yeah, the lemon can disturb pitta. So we have to be careful not to do too much lemon with pitta people. They can have lime in moderation. You can see it on Dr. Ladd's diet that he writes out for people. He has an asterisk with the lime. So lime for pitta in moderation is okay because generally no acid fruits are allowed, like tomato and oranges. Anything acidic really shouldn't be given. Acid feeds the fire.
And now that I think about it, those two people who were having the problems with the lemon water, they were definitely pitta. They had a fiery disposition.
Yeah, then you can give them lime, but not even every day. They shouldn't have it every day. Maybe they could do like 2 times a week lime water, and otherwise they should just have warm water if they're high pitta, warm water to flush first thing in the morning, and then they could do the liver flush with the lime maybe 2 or 3 times a week and see how they feel.
Okay.
Thank you.
What if they put honey in it? Would that make it easier for them to digest?
Depends on who is the question. So honey is heating, and if it was a pitta person, you don't want to give them too much honey. Give them moderate, maybe a little bit would be okay, but good for kapha, but not good for pitta.
Okay.
Yeah, especially cooked. Never cook it. It's the only thing that Dr. Ladd can't get out of the tissue. Cooked honey. Okay, so moving on. Any questions about any of these? The cardamom or the mustard seed?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is about you said the most sattvic food is the mung beans and rice. Is it ever possible to substitute the white basmati with like a black wild rice or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you can do, I've made khichdi with all kinds of grains, barley, quinoa, and short grain, long grain, black rice, white rice. You can choose, but then you need to know who are you cooking for. Are you going to make that for you? Is that okay for you? Yeah, the heavy quality of rice that has the husk on it, like a brown rice that has this very fibrous. This will impart heavy quality. Yes, fiber, but the heavy quality can become disturbed. That's why they let the heavy quality of the mung bean, the fiber of the mung dal, be the fiber, be the heavy, and then they let the white rice, the basmati, that is light, has light quality, those together mitigate each other and create perfect balance. But you have too much fiber in the bean and too much fiber in the rice, maybe okay for a kapha person in moderation, but you're going to have a lot of heavy quality, so you have to mitigate that, and you want to be doing light therapy for people who have kapha. So you would like a light rice. Eat the light rice and include the fiber in the bean. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people think that white rice is bad. Yeah, so if you just ate white rice all day by itself, it can be kaphagenic and no fiber, and immediately blood sugar up, and you could gain weight.
It's bloating, yeah.
Yes, but when you combine it with the mung bean, it balances it out. So it's a perfect food for purification and rejuvenation. Whenever I'm out of balance, if I have just gone on, usually on vacation or go on a business trip, or I'm always out, and I've gone out every day and I haven't been making my own food, my digestion goes off, and I'm constipated and I'm bloating, and I go right to the khichdi. I make the khichdi and I eat that all day, and I go right back into balance.
That was the recipe, and in our house, if anybody got sick, they got khichdi.
Yeah. Which hospital were you in?
My mother did that.
Oh, your mother. You're so lucky.
My mother did it.
Good mama. So that's how you got to be a good mama, because you had a good mama.
Is it good to add ghee to that as well?
Yes, ghee will help the digestive process. It will help ignite the agni. The ghee does help ignite the agni and bring it to the deeper levels of the tissue. All the minerals and vitamins and all the sustenance that you get from all these herbs and from the mung bean, the ghee actually takes it, and it takes it for a ride into the deeper layers. So it's called a vayu. It's I forget what it's called. Anavayu, Annapurna vayu. I forget the word.
Anyapana.
Thank you, Molly. Yeah, so ghee acts as that and takes everything to the most nourishing levels of your body. Otherwise, you just, you get, minimum effect. You eat it, you get some nourishment, and then it goes out the body. But if you do the ghee and add this just the way you see it with salt and everything in here to a certain preponderance depending on the dosha, then this is perfect. Harmony, cumin, coriander, fennel. All of these are very ancient recipes put together for a reason, not because it tastes good. It's a very wise recipe for longevity.
See, we cook curry. I mean, I don't know how to cook Western food. I only know how to cook Indian food.
Wow, I wish I lived next door to you.
And And I use all these spices in my food when I cook it.
Oh, that's perfect. Cumin, coriander, fennel is probably something you're used to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never knew.
I can't cook without all this. I mean, I have to cook with this.
Yeah, you grew up with it.
I grew up with it.
You're so lucky to have that experience. And a lot of us didn't ever even have cumin, coriander, or I didn't have the opportunity to taste those herbs until I went to the Ayurvedic Institute and Dr. Lau was talking about them, and even CCF or CCFT, cumin, coriander, fennel tea. This is a very magical.
I have a little coffee grinder in my kitchen, and when I cook something fresh for the day, I don't cook it fresh every day, but I cook it like once in 2-3 days. I take a little bit of coriander and a little bit of cumin and all that, put it in there, and then I make my fresh spice.
Oh, that sounds so good. You're making me hungry.
All right.
All right. Well, I have a trick too. If you want to make this,
yes.
You maybe you know this, and if the Dr. Ladd's wife Usha taught me this. When you put the ghee at the bottom of the pan,
yes,
you add the spices, and off the spices, mustard seeds, one of them, it starts to pop. As soon as those mustard seeds start to pop like a popcorn, then you're ready to add the rest of the mixture. It's kind of like a clue. Did you know that?
I know that because you
that.
cannot do it before because the mustard seed otherwise will not pop, and you won't get all the benefit of the mustard.
Exactly. It's the popping of the mustard seed that actually mitigates the gas. And
yes.
You don't even really have a lot of gas with the mung bean, but any other bean, if you add a mustard seed that's been popped, that bean is easier to digest. It doesn't cause vata to leave the small intestines and wreak havoc.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is a very magical recipe. Magical and scientific and wise and ancient food of the gods that actually creates space in the body. So whenever you eat a food that creates space in the body, you're going to be healthy because the body needs space to survive. So what that means is it actually is mildly laxative, mildly, not like you're going to run to the bathroom. It just, I actually, this may be TMI, but I get the best bowel movements after khichdi. And if I haven't had khichdi in a while, you get the skinny little bowel movements and have a smell, or, it's just, food that you ate out, restaurant food. But when you make your own khichdi and you have a bowel movement within 24 hours, that is you want a big bowel movement, and you want it to not have much smell and have, the brown color and more floating than sinking. And then you know that your body has gone back into balance. Your bowel movement is the indicator. Okay, hope that wasn't TMI to gross you out, but we do talk about poop in Ayurveda a lot. Did you guys get the perfect poop handout?
No.
Oh, I have to send that to you. Yeah, so you can learn about your poop. You need to learn about what kind of...
Dr. Oz talks a lot about poop on his shows.
Oh, he does. Oh, good. He's so funny. Well, the poop can be one huge way to tell what dosha you have. If you have a hot poop, that is burning as it comes out, and it is yellow or green and yellow or light color, light brown, and liquid, like oily, then you have a pitta problem. It's hot. It's pitta. If you have a heavy brown, dark brown, sludge kind of poop, sticky, and you have to wipe a lot, and it sinks right to the bottom of the toilet, this is a toxic poop. So whatever food you ate was sludgy, heavy, and toxic, and not so good. Caused probably kapha to go out of balance. And then if you have the little teeny pellets that, like pebbles that come out, and they're hard to get out, and air comes out with it, these are vata poops. So usually you get them after you've been on a vacation in the airplane, traveling in a car a long time, or you've just moved, or you've had a vata condition, or you've eaten a lot of vata foods like potato chips or hard broccoli and cauliflower that have not been cooked. Raw food can cause pellet poops and a vata condition in the body. So you don't have to be an expert pulse reader. You can just be an expert poop reader and a urine reader, and you know what is going on with your body daily and hourly. So if you have burning urine, you either have not had enough to drink, you're dehydrated, and or you have a bladder infection starting, but it's pitta. It's a pitta problem. If you have stinky urine, then you have a kidney problem. But if you have asparagus, that actually is a sign that your kidneys, and it smells a little, that's a sign your kidneys are working properly. So that's a good thing. Cloudy urine, it should be clear. Your urine should be clear and light yellow. Dark yellow, pitta. Cloudy urine, like little speckles and spots and whitish, I can't think of a better word than cloudy, but that is a kapha disorder. Too much cheese. You're eating cheese and drinking cloudy, maybe too much dairy. Those things, it's so telling to don't just wipe and walk away. You need to look in the toilet and have awareness as you're having the bowel movement. Is it burning, and how does it feel, and was it a full bowel movement? And Dr. Ladd had a great way of explaining a good bowel movement. He would say satisfaction upon evacuation. So, if you can't evacuate your colon with that feeling of completion, like you just had half a poop that came out and the whole poop is still stuck in there, or the rest of it's stuck and you're pushing and it's not coming out, that's a very frustrating feeling, and it is a vitiation of your dosha of not healthy. So you should, in order to have radiant health, have a bowel movement that is complete. You should be finished with it and feel satisfied, like, oh, that was a complete relief and full bowel movement. So these are important things to notice. What else can I tell you about bowel movements? Bowel movements that float are usually not toxic, and bowel movements that sink are usually toxic. And the smell should not be really bad. There's going to be a normal smell, like a normal baby poop smell. But as soon as it gets to be rancid smelling, you've eaten something bad. Pitta has gone out of balance, usually from wrong food combination. Any questions about poops and pee?
What about having too much of gas?
Then that's a vata disorder. So you have too much vata in the colon. It's coming out. And if you have, mixture of gas and liquid, diarrhea, and then farting and liquid and all this, this is irritable bowel syndrome. So it's a vata pitta disorder. So if somebody comes to you and says, I have irritable bowel syndrome, I have a lot of bloating and gas, as well as a lot of liquid, hot diarrhea and sometimes constipation, all of that is vata pitta disorder. You give them a vata pitta diet.
So
that's the best thing.
What would that be?
A mixture of all the foods on the yes side of vata and all the foods on the yes side of pitta. The ones that line up, they eat the ones that are on the yes side that they share.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
I'll make it quick. What if you have bowel movements that smell like the food you just ate, like you just ate?
Oh, and then you haven't digested. So, you need to have a process so the algae didn't actually churn, the fire didn't actually break it down and assimilate. So it just went right through you, and that means the villi, little fingers in the intestines, didn't get to grab all the nutrients, and it just went out and it had that same smell. Didn't have enough time to change the smell. So it's a good question. So then you need to look at, why are your villi laying flat, and why is the food passing through so quickly? Maybe you have celiac, because these are called cilia. Cilia are the little fingers in the intestine wall. So maybe you should look at not eating gluten. Is that happening to you or someone you know?
Me. Not all the time, but often.
What? Oh, often?
Yeah, often.
Often? Do you have gluten in your diet?
I don't tend to eat a lot of it, but sometimes I will, and I haven't noticed that it happens at that time. It's usually with I would say proteins. I can smell the protein.
Notice that. Have you tried to notice if that it was celiac, that the celiac disease, gluten causing that? Have you noticed you've gone like a week or two where you went off of it and noticed your bowel movements, and then you went back on it a week or two and noticed, because even the protein won't get digested. You actually destroy the cilia if you eat gluten and you have celiac disease, and so it doesn't matter what goes through you, protein, carbohydrates, sugar, it's gonna not be absorbed completely and will retain the same smell because it was just so quickly in and out. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but I've always said that my system is like a cast iron. I can
say that again. I need to turn my volume up. What's that?
I have a cast iron system in that nothing bothers me. Nothing bothers me at all.
Wow.
I never feel it. But is it an insensitivity, or I don't know.
No.
I great bowel movements. I have, everything seems to work perfectly, but I've wondered if I'm not absorbing my nutrients.
Well, you can tell if you look at your tongue, and there's little scale, like scallops that fit into your teeth. Like at the edge. I have it a little bit. Then that's a sign of malabsorption. Do you have that?
I don't think I do, but I will have to look. I don't have a way to look at it right now. But
we'll look later at the mirror, and it should just be, your tongue should just be nice and smooth on the edges when it sticks out smooth, instead of scalloped, kind of where the teeth fit in. That's a sign of not getting all of your nutrients.
No, I don't have that. I don't have that.
Well, good then. You may be just fine. You have great Agni. You have great Agni.
Accepting the smell. Like, why would I smell like immediately? It'll be like the next bowel movement. It's like, and it's not like 4 or 7 hours. It could be 1 hour later, and I will have that. I will just put it to say.
Wow, actually, that's not so bad. You should eat and then poop. That's what our bodies are designed for. Sometimes it takes people hours to get it out. So it just depends on the poop. I'd have to ask you a lot of questions. Is it a solid poop? Is it watery? Because if it's
no, it floats perfect, comes out no problem. It's I never have a problem.
Okay, then you don't have a problem. It sounds like you're doing just fine. I don't know why the smell. Just I've never heard of that before. That it smells exactly like the food just an hour later without having malabsorption. You just made that very lucky, good digestive fire.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I know. You're very lucky because everything happens in the digestion. All the disease starts in the stomach, in the intestines. So you're very blessed with good digestion. Anyone else have a question?
Yes, I had a question about, you mentioned colonics earlier.
Yes.
And the colonic hydrotherapist said that she recommends doing, I think, 10 to 12 sessions back to back, as close as possible together. And then she does weekly sessions. Does that deplete the body? Because it seems a little bit excessive to me.
Yeah, see, that is too depleting. I've actually experienced depletion like that. I went to a ranch. A friend of one of my clients in Fairfield paid for me to go with her because she was lonely. It was such a gift. And this was the Robert Young, I forgot the name of it. It was a farm where they did colonics every day. On the 4th day of serious colonic, I was so weak. I was so depleted.
Wow.
I could not function. I couldn't sleep. I was such a mess. I was shaky. And I knew better. And I knew even going in that day that I shouldn't be going in. And colonics will tell you, oh, you're going to do it every day, It is depending on who. So I know I have a very catabolic body type. I'm very pitta. So I should have honored that and said, I am going to do 1 day, maybe every other day, 2 days, then wait a day. I will follow what my body needs. And that's the wisdom of our body and the wisdom of Ayurveda is it's just not cookie cutter. So if you're kapha, you have a kapha imbalance, you could tolerate a little more colonics than somebody who is catabolic like me. You could probably do 4 or 5 days. You have to, play with it and explore. And if you don't feel good, don't let some colonic person tell you, well, you're supposed to do, don't listen to that. Listen to your body. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it for a Vata person. That's why I don't recommend it right away. I recommend the Fleet enema, the little saline enema bottles, because those are so gentle and little. And then if somebody can tolerate that, and Dr. Ladd recommends those Fleet enema bottles for a Vata disorder twice a week. So on empty stomach. But for a Vata person who's going through a lot of Vata illnesses, if they went to see a colon hydrotherapist, it could throw Vata out of balance even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an age just that you would recommend starting that? Like, are people sometimes too young to even venture into that? Does that make sense?
No, that's a great question. Anybody can do enema. Doesn't matter the age. I started when I was 19. I had my first colonic, I think. No, actually, no, I wasn't 19. I was mid-20s. I did my first. And I do them all the time. I'm a big believer in them. And I do them with magnesium powder. So if you get magnesium powder and then add some essential oil of oregano in a little bottle with a little bit of oil and warm water, like sesame oil, and a few drops of oregano, and maybe half a teaspoon of the magnesium powder that I buy at Amazon. That is the most nourishing enema you could do, and it helps you sleep because magnesium calms your body, and the colon is where we absorb our minerals. So the magnesium goes right inside the body, right into the bloodstream, and it will help you with anxiety so that you can have a restful sleep.
So how much magnesium would you put?
I put in a half a teaspoon, maybe I never really measure. About a teaspoon, 3/4, something like that.
And then you put magnesium and how much water?
I fill up the Fleet bottle with the rest of it is warm water and sesame or sunflower oil, a little oregano, just enough for a couple drops because it's powerful. That oregano oil will burn your butt, so you don't want that burning you.
That happened.
Not fun. Your butt will be on fire. It does kill the parasites, so that's fantastic. Kill those parasites.
So you put a few drops of oregano oil and then how many drops of sesame oil?
I do about a tablespoon of sesame oil, sometimes a teaspoon, and the rest of it's warm, filtered water, and a teaspoon or so of the magnesium.
Okay.
The magnesium is in which form?
Oh, that's a good question. I always forget. I have it written down right here. I buy it from Amazon, and I always have to look here when I buy it from Amazon. Hold on a second.
Amazon is magnesium is an electrolyte.
Yes, it is. Hold on a second. I learned this from Dr. Robert Young that there's a specific magnesium for the colon. Hold on.
Can you give us the name of it?
I'm looking. Hold on. Magnesium oxide or chloride for constipation or cramps. Chloride, magnesium chloride is hard to find. Oxide is specific to the colon. So that's what I have in the bathroom. I have magnesium sulfide for my bathtub, and I have little flakes, magnesium sulfate flakes for the tub. But for my colon, I use the oxide, magnesium oxide, OXIDE.
Okay, and you said you bathe in the magnesium sulfate?
Yeah. This is what I do according to Dr. Robert Young, who wrote many books. Incredible man to study with.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes from his class. We took notes while we were bouncing on the trampoline.
And you would do this once a month?
No, I do this twice a week.
Oh.
Yeah, Dr. Ladd said twice a week. You can do this on an empty stomach. It will help support sleep. and it helps the, apana vayu, the downflow. And a lot of us don't have proper apana vayu flow because we're so running around and multitasking and busy and stressed out that we're not even connected to the earth anymore because we're just spinning out. So twice a week, a small bottle, warm, with the oxide, the magnesium oxide, some oregano and oil, and a little bit of sunflower and warm water. And I put that in, I try to retain it. And when you put, a good teaspoon of that magnesium oxide, your body will tell you the truth. It doesn't want to release. It just absorbs it. Almost, I can almost retain it for 30 minutes. Because the body just is so excited. It's getting some kind of nutrients. The colon loves magnesium and minerals. Not necessarily vitamins, but minerals.
I'm sure we could get it at CVS.
I don't know. I never tried that. I just have that Prime. I'm a Prime Amazon. Don't pay the shipping, and that's fine. Yeah, if you can't find it, you know where to get it. So yeah, it's a very good way to calm the body before you sleep and evacuate your colon, because your liver dumps into the gallbladder and the gallbladder dumps into the colon. And you sometimes can't sleep because of liver qi. There's something in Chinese medicine called liver qi, because we're so stressed out when we haven't gone to the bathroom properly and there's no space for the liver to dump, that the liver goes like this all night long and it wakes you up. You don't sleep deeply. But if you do this magnesium oxide enema just before you sleep on an empty stomach twice a week, your liver actually gets to calm down because it was able to dump its bile into the gallbladder, and the gallbladder dumps. Everything starts smoothly operating. So you
take this just before you go to sleep at night.
It's a great sleep remedy, yeah. Or in the morning, you can do it in the morning, but it's not necessarily a sleep remedy in the morning. It is a nice relaxation in the morning because magnesium is a calming agent. Yeah. Any other questions on that? We're almost done. We have 10 minutes. And I'm asking questions about anything.
We've learned a lot today.
Good. I've enjoyed it. This is a good topic. Such an important topic to learn how to purify and cleanse yourself and your friends and family and clients.
I have a friend who has cancer and she can't sleep at night. Do you think this could help her?
Absolutely. It could help her, yeah. She should ask her doctor first, though. Just make sure. I don't know all of her cancer symptoms, and I need to know her more. But as a general rule, yes, a little warm water isn't going to hurt anyone typically. Yeah, it would be good. The only condition I would say maybe not so good is, your period, because your period needs to flow down.
Oh, no, she's way past the period.
Okay, good.
She's menopause. She's had it, yeah. She's just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Get her on iodine, and more green food, more khichdi, more massage, less stress. Vitamin C, IV.
Stress is something it is very difficult to give up. I mean, to, say, don't. I gave up working, but I have stress even then.
What are you saying? Burping?
I said I'm not working anymore.
Oh, you're not working.
I'm not working for a while. I just thought I'd take time off, but there's still stress.
Oh, well, then you're just doing something that's stressful. Maybe you're going to figure out what it is and eliminate it. I don't know. I'd have to talk to you in person of what it is, but,
it's just I think I tried to achieve more in the day than I can.
Oh, then your natural personality is Pitta, type A, get it done, overachiever. Maybe be more gentle on yourself. Just let yourself slack off a little.
That's what it is.
Yes. Allow yourself to just slack off.
That's difficult to do.
No, you just have to tell yourself a different story about it. And then to do 21 days of slacking off, and then it becomes a habit. So if you can slack off, I say, and I say slack off meaning do joyful activities if you want, or just meditate. But choose things that you love to do that bring you joy. Singing, my daughter loves to sing. What she does when she wants to do something fun, she opens her computer, looks at herself on the computer, and sings to herself great, fantastic songs with her guitar. And she's in total bliss. That just makes her happy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, she sings. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. So find what makes you happy and do it. Don't stress out. Or if you don't have to stress out, why should you stress out?
I know. I'm going to look for something that I can do to de-stress.
Yeah, more joy. So, okay, let's talk about the ashram that I'm considering bringing everybody, and then we'll call it a night. We have just a few minutes. Thinking about taking everyone to the Pennsylvania ashram called Arshavidya. And it's a Vedantic ashram, so there's a chance for you to experience the culture of India. There's a guru, a couple gurujis, swamis, and Indian food that's a buffet, delicious. There's the puja ceremony, fire ceremony, and where they anoint your third eye with red and white sandalwood and do all kinds of beautiful mantra and bhajans and holy water. And it's just a beautiful Poconos mountain setting. And I'd like to take you there. My only hesitation is it's quite challenging to get there because it's in, it's so far removed. And traveling there can be challenging. They have to send somebody from the ashram, which they're willing to do. You fly into the airport. The airport's like, I have it here. Hold on. And I have to find doctors that will be willing to come. I have a couple that are willing to come. Dr. Vasu wants to come. Hoping Molly will come. And I have a couple, but finding everybody and arranging everybody to get there is a big problem. So here we are.
Now, why are we going to this ashram? For what?
Well, what I just described is for you to have the full cultural experience. Oh, I see why. It's the Gurukulam. It's the internship. It's required. 20.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, this is not Nama requirement. It's Nama, the Nama requirement. You have to have 25 supervised visits, client intakes with
this is an internship.
Yeah, it's an internship. And this is flying into Allentown Airport. That's a half an hour away from the ashram, and somebody from the ashram can come and get you, or they can fly into Newark, get the bus from the airport, and come to Easton, and then they have to inform us and blah blah blah, Greyhound, and oh my gosh, I'm just spinning thinking about how are you all going to get there. I drive from Newport.
And how much walking is there? Because I'm limited to walking.
Oh, that's another point too. Well, it's 3 blocks back and forth between the puja and the food and the classroom. You may have to walk. That might not be.
I don't know if I would be able to walk that much.
Oh dear. Okay, that's something I'm asking all of you so I can make these decisions. I want it to be easy and easy for everybody, and the easiest would be at the school in East Providence. But I'm really passionate about having you all come explore the ashram. You just take this whole knowledge to another level. But sometimes it's just not doable and it's just too hard. So
because of my legs, it's just
your legs. I'm
just beginning to walk without a cane, and that's fantastic.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yes, but I don't know if I could walk that distance, and even stairs. If there are too many stairs to climb.
No stairs, but there's maybe 2 or 3 steps. But no.
That's all right. I thought maybe a couple of flights.
Yeah, but there is, you have to walk 3-4 blocks in between the classroom and the puja ceremony and the food and maybe where you're staying. This, it's a little campus. It's a beautiful campus, mountains, and it's, birds.
That sounds fantastic.
What's that?
Maybe I'd have to do this once a day and then come back. I mean, not a couple of times. How many times? I mean, what is it? You go from your living space to all this and then come again and go again and come again, or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to eat, you're going to have to walk to the food.
Yeah.
And the walk is about 3 blocks to the food, so I have to think about this. Anyways, I would love you to all email, send me an email on how you feel. How many of you are feeling passionate to go to the ashram?
I do. I would love to go. I'm just thinking, what about accommodations for the family? Like children.
They have rooms. There's lots of children at the ashram. There's always children. Yeah.
Okay.
You can bring your children, and the accommodations are very affordable. It's like $50 or $60 a night, and that includes all your food. It's very humble, though. It's not.
Anyway, if I cannot walk too much, is there any way I could sort of rent like a cart or the motorized ones? Would they have something like that?
This is East Cupcake. This is not a place to rent stuff like that. I don't think so, Indu, but I don't want to say no, but that would be some research that maybe you could Google a Saylorsburg or call the ashram and ask them what they do for people.
What is it called? I would like to listen.
Arshavidya, it's right here. Arshavidya Ashram, right here.
Let me write it down. ASOAR.
And Karyn, what is the possible cost, like total, even just a ballpark figure that it would cost to go?
It's $450, and that's another thing, is it might be a little more expensive because you have to stay over, and although some of you would have to stay over here anyways, and the hotel here would be expensive.
Right.
So the whole thing would cost us, say, about $2,000-3,000?
No. You could get a hotel locally in Providence for maybe $80 a night at that time of year. It's going to be December 1st. So you could probably find something nice for, nearby the school for $80 a night.
Maybe an Airbnb or something.
Yeah, even cheaper with Airbnb. But the ashram is $60 for a shared bathroom in a private room. And I've done the shared bathroom.
$60 is not bad for
it's approximately. Maybe 65. I'm guessing 60, 65. And the shared bathroom and all the food you want. That's a pretty good deal.
That's not bad. That's good.
I know, it is.
Otherwise, wherever you go, you'll have to pay that, if not more than for your food, at least where you get your food.
Yes, so we have to put all that into consideration.
I have to do something about my walking. It's okay, I can afford this, but the thing is, must find out if there is something for seniors, they may.
You take this number down. Why don't you take this number right here? 570-992. 992-2339 and
2339.
And then ask for Vimala. Vimala she's who I work with. Vimala, maybe anybody can help you, but Vimala.
Vimala, Vimala.
Right here, this is her name right here. Vimala. V as in Victor. Vimala.
Vimala. Okay.
Vimala.
Okay.
Tell her you're my student. Yeah, she knows me, and tell her, I'm coming, and I can't walk very well. What do you suggest? And
okay, yeah. I will call this number, and I will find out. Give me a day or two, because it's Easter and tomorrow's Good Friday, so I don't want to do anything. I'll do it next week.
Good plan. Okay, so please everybody send me an email, because I'm going to take a vote and see.
I'll even tell my daughter to look into it. I'll tell her.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Right. I can afford it for a few days. This much, it's cheap. I think 60 or 65 with food, and so it's not bad. And if it's
but you have to also think it's going to be, some time consuming. You're going to fly in, or I don't know how far you are, and they have to pick you up, and it's a lot of back and forth. The traveling can just be. I just don't like all airs and airplanes, buses and automobiles and trains, and oh my gosh, it's not an easy place to get to. So it's just easy to get to Providence. You just Yep, to tee
All
up.
right, Providence.
And bam.
I like getting to Providence because it's very easy for me. I just take the bus there, my daughter picks me up.
Yeah, so that's why I'm looking at easy, because I don't want everyone to be going here all stressed out, take a whole day to get there, stressing out over the transportation and the connections, and people, hopefully they pick you up on time and all that.
I take the bus to Worcester. My daughter picks me up at Worcester, and then I'm all set.
Wow.
And then she drops me back at at Providence terminal, and I take the bus back.
Good. Well, that's easy. That seems to be the easiest thing, and especially for my teachers, I have to consider my teachers. I have to ask Dr. Vasu to drive up there, and people have to drive up there, and
I have no kids, but people have kids, so they have to think of that too.
Yeah. So we have to consider many things. So please send me an email with what you prefer.
I prefer Providence.
Well, send me that email, Indu, so that I don't remember. I won't remember it.
I will send you an email.
Okay, good. Yeah, I need it all in writing so I can sit back and really meditate with all of your emails and try to figure this out, as well as I'm asking the teachers.
Yes.
The teachers have to be happy to come as well. So a lot to consider. We have already reserved a room, so we have 10 rooms